Hello, this is your host, Adam Graham, from Pretty Much the Present. And in this video, we'll be bringing you a compilation of old-time radio detective podcasts from 2010. The podcasts are appearing, for the most part, unedited, except for some extraneous or repetitive elements that are being removed because this is a compilation. As I said, these are old, so any websites or offers mentioned may not be valid at the time you're listening unless you find them on our website currently. Now, with that said, here is a week of old-time radio detective podcast. Welcome to the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham. If you have a comment, email it to me, box13@greatdetectives.net. Become one of our friends over on Twitter at Radio Detectives. And you can also follow us on Facebook, facebook.greatdetectives.net. Well, this week I'm going to do something different. I will actually forego the usual affiliate program mentions, because pretty much everything I've mentioned on the program I've mentioned before, and all still available at greatdetectives.net. But I want to take some time out just to mention some important folks who need your help, and that's today that's the folks at the Salvation Army. A few years back, I actually took a single mother down to the Salvation Army before Christmas. She didn't have much money to put on a Christmas herself. But with the Salvation Army, they provided her with a Christmas tree, Christmas dinner, and some presents for her son. And the work of Salvation Army is much the same in all communities out there. The need, though, is greater than it's been in years. So remember to give to the Salvation Army when you see the kettles, or if you don't carry change, consider going to their website, salvationarmyusa.org. Well, let's get into today's episode, Nora's Night Out.
Good evening. This is Sergeant X. Of all the countless characters created by the pen, comparatively few are destined for a long public life. However, Dashiell Hammett, the mystery writer, created a couple of characters named Nick and Nora Charles about 10 or more years ago. Well, Nora and Nick are still around and still doing fine, as you hear tonight in the Mystery Playhouse. Yes, tonight the Mystery Playhouse is host to Nick and Nora Charles as they appear in another episode from The Adventures of the Thin Man. Well, to begin with, our mystery in the lighter vein is chock full of surprising and unusual occurrences. Take, for instance, the fact that it's 9 o'clock in the morning when our story opens, and Nick Charles, who usually can't be pried from the arms of Morpheus before noon except in case of fire or disorder, is not only up, but fully dressed. And it's in this extremely unlikely situation that he's found by his good friend Ebenezer Williams, sheriff of Crabtree County. Eb is very surprised indeed. In fact, you might say he's amazed.
Well, all dressed. My Godfrey. You sure you're all right, Nick?
Oh, come in, Eb. I've been going crazy. I've been up all night.
What's wrong?
Nora's gone. She left the house yesterday afternoon. I haven't heard a word from her since.
Oh, so she finally come to her senses. Did she find another fella?
Eb, this is serious. I called the police, the newspapers. There's not a trace of her. This never happened before.
Oh, take it easy, Nick.
Eb, I've never felt so miserable. Well, look at me. No dinner, no sleep. Oh, Nora.
Maybe that'll learn you to be nice to your next wife.
I don't want a next wife. I want the one I got. You can't get that model anymore. What am I saying? Eb, you really think she left me?
Maybe.
Oh, maybe that's the police. Maybe they found the body.
Maybe. Shall I answer it?
No, I'll face it. I have it coming to me. Hello?
Hello. Tell Nora that Wolfe is calling.
Who are you?
Wolfe, you dope.
Well, I'm Nora's husband.
Don't worry. You won't be for long.
Oh, how do you know?
Because I'm the guy she's gonna marry.
Who says so?
She does. She proposed to me last night.
Hey, what is this, a gag? What did you do to my wife?
My dear fellow.
Hey, come on, you punk, talk.
I refuse to listen to such language over a telephone.
Hello? Hello?
Who was that?
Some idiot Nora promised to marry last night.
That ain't possible. She can't be married to two idiots at the same time.
The guy screamed just before he hung up. Eb, what could have happened to Nora? Hello?
Hello? This is Leo.
Hello, Leo. What do you want?
$200, of course.
What for?
The mirror, naturally. It's cheap. But that's Leo for you. Always a sucker for a beautiful dame.
Listen, I don't know anything about this.
Well, didn't your wife tell you about me?
No.
Oh, that's deceptive.
Where'd you last see my wife?
Leo's. The gathering place of convivial spirits. She left after she broke the mirror behind my bar. Why?
My wife didn't get home. I've been looking everywhere for her.
Andre knows, Bud. You shouldn't let a dame like that go around loose.
That's just it. Was she loose?
Well, I'd say she was tight.
That's impossible. Nora never gets tied.
Does she throw horseshoes at mirrors in her natural state?
Where did she get a horseshoe?
From a horse, naturally.
Who was my wife with?
One was a female lady of interesting design. The other was a male gentleman of designing interest.
What are you talking about?
The guy I know. His name is Bill Martin, a no good. The dame I didn't know.
Listen, I'll be down to your place. Where is it?
On 6th Avenue, the village. You know what I'd do if I had a wife like yours, Bud?
Oh, what?
I'd lock her and me in a golden cage and throw away the key. Bye.
Goodbye, Leo. Oh, Eb, this is the zaniest thing that ever happened.
Nora. Oh, and Williams. How are you, F.B. Wemby?
Fine, Nori. How are you?
Oh.
Or is it a military secret?
I'm feeling deliriously hilarious. Have you ever walked on bubbles?
No, dear.
It requires the greatest delicacy, and it's hard to keep your balance. Kiss me, darling.
Nora, what have you been drinking?
I didn't touch the drop. All I had was one teeny-weeny cup of tea.
Tea?
With crumpets, too.
Where were you last night?
Kiss me first.
There. Now, where were you last night?
Oh, last night? Well, darling, I had tea with Joan Lawrence, and then I don't remember. Well, that's odd, isn't it?
Well, don't you remember anything?
Of course. I woke up in a nice, comfy hotel suite, and I tried to phone you, but the line was busy, so I came over, and here I am. With nailed down that floor. Oh, catch me!
Laura. She's out, Eb.
Yeah. Well, I reckon that solves the mystery of your missing wife.
No, Eb, you're wrong. I'm afraid we're at the beginning of another mystery.
Huh?
Look up Dr. Barton's name in the phone book. Tell him to get up here immediately.
Why? Is there something wrong?
Look at her eyes, Eb. Unless I'm crazy, she's been drugged.
Am I dying?
No, dear. The doctor said you'll be okay.
The doctor?
Yes, Sir Nori. You've been drugged.
Oh, why should anyone want to do a thing like that to little me?
That's what I want to find out. What happened after you had tea with Joan Lawrence?
I don't know.
In your bag, we found a key to a suite in the Wilson Hotel. You remember registering there?
No, but I woke up there.
Where'd you go between the time you had tea with Joan and the time you woke up?
I've no idea.
Do you remember going to a joint called Leo's, the gathering place of convivial spirits?
Sounds delightful. Was I there?
I reckon so. You broke the mirror behind his bar with a horseshoe. Now, what made you do a thing like that?
Well, I can't imagine it. But I do remember one thing. There was the nicest man with me and Joan.
Wolfe?
No, I don't remember anyone named Wolfe.
Well, you should, dear. You asked him to marry you.
You know, I must have had a wonderful time. Tell me more.
You know a fellow named Bill Martin?
That's him. He's the nicest man. Joan knew him. He's in business with her husband. Darling, did you call Joan?
Yes, baby. No one answers at her apartment.
Well, that's funny. Nick, do you think something happened to Joan?
I don't know, darling. But I don't think you were drugged by accident. We're going to the Wilson Hotel and check that key you have. Come in, Nora. Eb?
Yeah.
Was this the suite you woke up in?
Mm-hmm. I remember. It looked a mess.
Looks like a hurricane struck it.
Isn't it a shame, dear?
What?
I evidently had the time of my life last night, and I didn't even know it.
Hey, Mr. Russell left his bag here. Eb, will you help me open it?
Okay, baby dokey. Hey, that's sure an oversized suitcase. Looks more like a little trunk. Now she's open it.
Nick!
Don't be frightened, baby. He can't hurt you. He's dead.
That's Bill Martin. He was the nicest man. The one that told you about.
A woman's compact in his pocket.
That's my compact. Wonder how he got it.
Nora, did you kill him?
Me? Kill him?
Yes, darling. Now, don't be afraid to tell me the truth.
But I don't remember.
Now, just try to think. Did you stick a knife in his back because he got fresh?
Well, I don't know.
You sure he was killed with a knife, Nick?
Well, yeah, you can see the wound in his back.
Say, there's blood stains here near the telephone. Did you find anything more on his body?
Just this watch.
Oh, you can't use that, Nick. It's broken. Give it back.
Just a second. Nick, could that be broke like that because a bullet hit it?
What I was wondering, Eb. The hand stopped at 5:30. No bullet holes in this guy. Nora, you keep this watch. What's the name of the restaurant where you had tea with Joan Lawn?
The Bixley on Lower Fifth Avenue. It's near Joan's apartment.
I'm going down there.
Do you think poor Joan is dead, too?
Maybe, baby. I want you and Eb to take a careful look around here and then go to Joan's apartment. Eb, use this collection of skeleton keys to get in. So long, darling. Take good care of her, Eb.
All right.
Eb. You don't think I killed him, do you?
I don't know, Nori. Say, will you take a look in them closets? I'm going over that other room. Careful.
All right, Eb. Oh, what a lovely clock. Oh, my neck. Let go. Let go.
Find anything in that closet, Nori? Nori? Don't you hear me? Nori, I just looked. Look. Nori.
Said you wanted to have words with me.
Yeah, that's right. Were you on duty in this restaurant about 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon?
Yeah. Hey, ain't you Nick Charles?
That's right.
Don't you remember me? Rayfield, the rat.
Of course, I sent you up, didn't I?
Yeah. I could have got 50 years, but you only let me get 10. Gee, you changed. You used to be a good-looking young fella.
Well, I hope you've changed, too, Rayfield. Here, will you take a look at this picture in my wallet?
Some doll.
That's my wife. Did you serve her yesterday?
What does the rest of her look like?
Usual accessories, but well played.
She was here with another dame. This other dame had a wonderful build. I served them.
Where?
In that booth right over there.
Listen, Rayfield, I want you to remember exactly what happened while they were here. Try and recall every detail. If it'll help your memory, Act it out.
Okay. Now, let me see. You be your wife. I am the girl with the bill. So, we come in. We look around to see if anybody notices what terrific lookers we is. And after we see that all the wolves is foaming at the mouth, we sit down.
Now, where do I sit?
In the corner of the booth. Me. I'm the other girl. I sit here. So another person joins us. A guy named Bill. Very good looking.
Bill Martin?
Yeah, that's his name. He ordered cocktails.
Now, listen carefully. Did you see Bill Martin put anything in the girl's tea?
No. But an hour later, they was all still here. Bill had lots of drinks, and they was all laughing like things was hilarious.
Did you see any of them leave?
Yeah, I left. I mean me, the girl with the bill. I comes up and asks me, Rayfield, where is the telephone booth? And I tell me. Then me, Rayfield, I see your wife and a man in the booth.
How'd my wife look?
Tired like. Sort of sitting in the corner, leaning back with her eyes closed. I figure she drunk some of the guy's cocktails.
When did this girl return?
In about 5 minutes.
Did the man leave the booth at all?
No. Why should he leave when he's got a good-looking babe like your wife there? About 6 o'clock, they all left together. They all walked with a wobble.
Okay, Rayfield. Guess that'll be all. Thanks.
Don't mention it. And if you need my help again, be free to call on me. Nothing's too much for the guy what set me up the river for 10 years.
Of course I will accept your check for $200, Mr. Charles. That's Leo for you. He'll take a check from anybody.
Do you mind if I ask you a few questions, Leo?
Not at all. I personally am a convivial spirit, and I like conversation.
At what time did my wife break that mirror?
At precisely 2 a.m.
What makes you so sure?
I was waiting to hear the war news. You know, they have it on the radio every hour.
Bill Martin and this girl were with my wife all the time?
Yeah.
Why did you say Bill Martin was a no-good?
Did you ever hear of Pedro Gonzalez?
Sure, he used to have a bootlegging mouth.
It's black market now. This guy, Bill Martin, was connected with him. He tried to sell me some tax-free liquor once.
Leo, can I use your phone?
Sure, go ahead. Take a tip from me, pal. Don't fool around with Gonzalez. He ain't no convivial spirit.
I'm just trying to find out if Martin drugged my wife.
Hello?
Hello, Eb. How long have you been there at Jones' place?
Oh, a few minutes, Nick. Say, I'm glad you called. The killer was hiding in one of the closets.
Did you get him?
No, the killer got us.
What?
He shot Nora on the head. But she's all right now.
Oh, good.
He sneaked out side entrance.
Well, did you find anything important in the apartment?
I reckon so. We found another corpse.
Who? Jones?
No. The husband. Shot full of bullet holes. And plenty murdered.
Yeah. All right, I got you, Nick. All right, Nick, I'll do like you say. All right.
Did Nick find the killer, Eb?
No, but he was telling me about the information he dug up.
What are you doing there, Eb?
Just looking at this corpse's pocket, Nori. There's a bullet hole into it. I didn't notice that before.
Is it important?
Maybe. Now, that's the vest pocket, where a fellow usually carries a watch. You know, I think this fellow was not only killed, he was robbed by Godfrey.
Eb, did you notice that banjo clock on the wall?
What about it?
It stopped at 2. And the reason it stopped is because there are a couple of bullet holes in it. Look. Oh, Joan, darling.
Hello, Nora. Oh, I've got the most awful headache.
Gilbert, what happened? Now, don't try to put yourself together. Your husband's been murdered. We found him here like that. Now, dear.
Oh, Nora, this is awful.
There, now. Nick and our friend Ed Williams is working on this case. Now, if you can keep a grip on yourself, you can help us.
Well, I'll be all right, Nora. I was afraid something like this was going to happen. That's why I wanted to talk to you yesterday. My husband and Bill Martin, they were in trouble with Pedro Gonzalez. He's a gangster, you know.
Yeah, Nick told me all about that. Miss Lawrence, where was you last night?
Well, I'm not really sure. It's all very hazy. I woke up only a few minutes ago at the Royal Crest Hotel. Did anything happen to Bill Martin?
He's been murdered, too.
Oh, no.
Nora was drugged.
Well, then I must have been drugged, too. Well, of course, I see it all now. They drugged us so I wouldn't go home and find them killing Gilbert, and Bill Martin must have known about it. He was very close to them, so they killed him to keep him quiet.
Was your husband alive at 2 yesterday afternoon?
Well, yes, I had lunch with him.
Joan, why'd you murder your husband?
What are you talking about?
You, Joan. You murdered both of them.
No, he's crazy, isn't he?
Eb, how could she have done it? It's impossible.
No. She drugged you at about 5:15 yesterday afternoon, then left, saying she had to make a phone call. But instead, she come up here and killed her husband. She turned the clock back to 2, put a few bullets into it, come back to the restaurant where you were sitting with Bill Martin. In your condition, Nora, you didn't even know she'd been gone.
I don't remember everything, but I do know Joan was with me last night.
Sure. She was using you as an alibi. At 2 a.m., the time she wanted the police to believe the murder was committed, she and Bill Martin put you up to throwing that horseshoe into the mirror in back of Leo's bar.
But why'd she want me to do a thing like that, Eb?
To strengthen the alibi. Ain't that right, Joan?
He's out of his head.
Am I? You give Nora an extra dose of the drug. Put her to bed at the Wilson Hotel. Now, up to this point, Bill Martin was helping you. Your problem now was to get rid of Martin.
I suppose I killed him, too.
You told him to call Nick's place, act like a goon, and use the name Wolfe. The object was to see if Nora was home yet. Well, soon as he finished phoning, you drove a knife into his back. Nick even heard his scream.
Listen, if I'm such a clever killer, why'd they ever pick on Nora to have tea with me?
Because you knew after your husband was found dead that Nora would get Nick interested in the case. It'd be simple to hint that Bill Martin got some hoodlum to do it. Martin would appear especially guilty, since he was dead also.
All right. Get him up, both of you. I'm getting out of here. If any of you try to follow me, you'll be killed. Goodbye.
Hello.
Nicky.
I just clipped her lightly on the chin, darling.
Guess what? Eb solved the whole thing. She's the killer.
Well, of course, baby. I knew it all along.
Now, how did you figure it out?
Darling, you know I never discuss such things outside our bedroom. Wait till tonight.
Why can't you ever tell me how brilliant you are in broad daylight? All right, dear. I'm ready and waiting for your story.
Well, it was simplicity itself, baby. I knew that whoever drugged you probably committed the murder. There were only 2 suspects, Martin and Joan.
And since Martin was dead, it had to be Joan.
Right. I was afraid for a while that Joan was dead, too. I'd have to investigate Gonzalez. Joan confessed that she did it for her husband's insurance. Martin was in love with her, and so was a willing accomplice.
Did you miss me last night, dear?
Well, not at all.
You big liar. Eb, tell me what you said. I ought to stay away more often. It'll make you appreciate me.
Better not try it, or I'll stay away nights, too.
What about me did you miss most of all, Mickey?
The way you say good night.
Oh. Well, then. Good night, Mickey, darling.
Thank you, Nick and Nora Charles, for another chapter in the adventures of the Thin Man. Tonight's presentation in the Mystery Playhouse. Before taking our usual trip to the green room, let's discuss 3 ways we can all help lengthen the war. Here they are. First, throw away all your extra equipment. Second, don't take care of the equipment and ordnance you have left. Third, waste your field rations. Only eat the parts you like. Well, that's only 3 ways. But if each and every man and woman in the service indulged in just those three consistently, V-Day would be a far cry indeed. Of course, no one would act like that on purpose, but unfortunately, we all tend to treat GI materiel a little bit like a stepsister. And when you multiply your callousness and wastage 1 million or more times, it's no longer funny. So let's not help lengthen the war. Let's shorten it by conserving everything we have. This is Sergeant X, closing the doors of the Mystery Playhouse. Good night. Sleep tight.
Welcome back. Well, we get to hear a somewhat different version of the Mystery Playhouse. This one hosted by Sergeant X. Now, those of you who are fans of old-time radio will recognize the voice of Sergeant X as that of Howard Duff, who later played Sam Spade after the war. And a very interesting performance, and a reminder, of course, here with the PSA as to who was hearing this. This wasn't the civilian audience that was listening. This was the GI audience overseas. Dennis at the Digital Deli has pointed out as well that Elliot Lewis and Howard Duff had similar sounding voices and were friends who actually learned to impersonate each other. But I'll say provisionally that this Sergeant X was Howard Duff. Sounded like Duff to me. I did like the one thing in this episode where Ebb actually got to accuse the killer. Usually it's tradition that the main detective is the one who confronts the killer. This was just a very nice twist to see the old police chief figure it out and finger the villain. I want to, as we get into listener comments, say a special thank you to Paul Russell, who gave a nice little tip to the show, and we went ahead and we sent him his premium site access information. And also special thanks to Brian Ashby for his support of the program. Really appreciated, with a nice tip from him as well. Gary emails in, I really enjoy your Great Detectives podcast. I wanted to know if you plan on doing any more video podcasts. Yours is the only podcast I've found that has them. Keep up the great work. Well, thanks so much, Gary. While we love the radio, we love to do some of these classic videos, and we're going to continue to do that. And I'll actually let you know what we've got coming up next Sunday. It's from the 1954 Sherlock Holmes TV series. The episode is The Christmas Pudding. By the way, if you like the videos and want to see more than the one a month we work into our show, I encourage folks, check out the Internet Archive. Go to archive.org/details/classic_TV. There's also a feature film section there as well, and that's where we get all the videos we play on the show. Well, that'll do it for now. We'll be back tomorrow with Nero Wolfe. Today, before we get into today's episode of Nero Wolfe, I do want to encourage you to give blood this holiday season. The need is great for all types of blood, particularly O negative. You can learn more about blood donation by going to redcrossblood.org. Well, we have yet another Archie Goodwin in this particular episode of Nero Wolfe. Our Archie today is Lamont Johnson. Johnson had a great career, actually, after radio and into television as a director. He directed the miniseries Lincoln, which won him an Emmy, and he won another Emmy as well in 1985 for Wallenberg, A Hero Story. There are a lot of theories as to why the Archie Goodwins were changed so often. One that has been posited over at the Thrilling Detective website was that Sidney Greenstreet, as the star of the show, kept blaming the Archies for the show's poor ratings at the time. I've not found any really compelling evidence to support that theory, particularly since ratings were not, I think, as big a thing instantly as they once were. If anything, it does kind of seem that the producers of the program were playing around with finding the right chemistry between Wolfe and Goodwin, which to me seems like something that should have done before the show started. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a listen to this week's episode of Nero Wolfe, The Case of the Careworn Cuff.
Stay tuned for Nero Wolfe. Saturday night chimes on NBC mean a full hour of fun with Dennis Day and Judy Canova. Dennis always appears perplexed and bewildered. But one thing that doesn't perplex him is how to make a popular ballad come to life in his thrilling tenor voice. And there's music also on the Judy Canova Show, plus comedy in the mischievous Canova manner. That's Judy Canova and Dennis Day, tomorrow night over most NBC stations.
My boss is the smartest and the stubbornest, the fattest and the laziest, the cleverest and the craziest, the most extravagant detective in the world, Nero Wolfe.
It's the transcribed adventure of The Case of the Careworn Cuff, with that brilliant, eccentric private detective, orchid fancier, and gargantuan gourmet, Nero Wolfe, starring Sidney Greenstreet. The place is Nero Wolfe's office. At the moment, the world's greatest motionless detective is sitting in the chair which was built especially to support his 300 pounds. His eyes are closed, and he's making sounds through his nose.
Archie. Archie. Archie!
Yes, Mr. Wolfe, what is it?
The phone, if you please, Mr. Goodwin.
Well, it's on your desk, only 8 3/4 inches from your left elbow. All you have to do is lean forward.
Found it, Archie. What do you think I am, an athlete?
Hello. No, wrong number, mister. Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Wolfe, if that old phone awakened you.
Wrong number, and I was not asleep. I was merely concentrating.
On what? We're out of work. There's nothing to concentrate on.
May have escaped your errant attention, Archie. There are other subjects for thought besides murder.
Mm-hmm. Sure, blondes.
And blondes.
You're right at that, brunettes.
Phooey.
That's not a nice thing to say about any girl, even if she does happen to be a brunette.
Archie.
Yes, sir?
Go away. You annoy me.
Suppose I did. It would get your beer for you.
Fritz.
Tonight happens to be Fritz's night off. However, you can always get your beer for yourself.
Don't be an idiot.
There are exactly 23 steps between here and the kitchen.
As you very well know, I abominate strenuous physical activity.
23 steps times 2 is 46. You could walk very slow.
Nonsense. Now that you mention it, I happen to be mildly thirsty, Archie. Would you...
Now that I mention it, you'd better let the beer go for tonight.
Why?
Our stock is running low.
You being careless?
I've been careful, because something else is also running low.
What?
Money?
Fiddlesticks, there's plenty in the bank.
Sure, but very little of it is yours. Mr. Wolfe, do you remember that batch of orchids you bought last week?
Of course I do. Magnificent and very rare specimens.
I got a magnificent bill for him this morning, too.
It was large?
It was large.
Confound it, Archie. I shall have to do some work.
You turned down half a dozen cases in the last few weeks.
One of them may still require me.
Most of them hired other detectives. However, there is a Mr. Wenceslas who might still be in need.
His problem is what?
As I remember, he's being followed by midgets. He wanted you to do something about it. Not that he minded the midgets so much. It was the elephants they were riding.
The man needs a psychiatrist, not a detective. Anyone else?
I can check my files, but I don't think... Ha-ha! Saved by the bell.
Another cliche like that, and I shall...
Answer the phone yourself?
Assassinate. You see what it is.
Okay. Hello? Yes, Mr. Wolfe is in. Yes, he'll be in. He always is. What? But... That was a Mr. Charles Porter. He was in a hurry. He's on his way over right now. Should be here in 10 minutes.
Prospective client, I trust?
$1,000 worth of prospective client.
Splendid, Archie, my beer.
Okay, but, look, I'm not sure you're going to accept his offer.
Indeed, what does he want me to do for his paltry fee?
That's the point. If I heard him right, he wants you to do nothing.
The door, Archie.
Yes, sir. I hear it. Mr. Porter?
Naturally, I'm Charles Porter. Who else would I be?
It's a large field. Never mind. Come on in. I'm Archie Goodwin.
Where is Wolfe?
Mr. Wolfe is in here. Mr. Wolfe, this is Mr. Porter.
Good evening.
Fat, aren't you?
It's moderately noticeable. Archie, a chair for Mr. Porter.
Don't bother. I'm too impatient to sit. When I've business to take care of, I take care of it quickly.
Very well.
Send him out of the room.
Mr. Goodwin, nonsense. He's my assistant. He remains.
I don't like it.
Archie, show Mr. Porter out.
Now, wait. There's no need to get temperamental. Perhaps I'm a little abrupt.
Rude.
I'm a worried man.
And impatient. You're wasting time, Mr. Porter.
I suppose I am. The reason I came to you... Young man, what are you doing with that notebook?
Getting ready to make marks in it.
But... Oh, never mind. Mr. Wolfe, you have a client named Dorothy Spencer.
Have I?
There's no need to be coy about it. I happen to know.
Then you know.
I want you to drop her.
Drop her?
Refuse to handle her case. Close the books on her. You know what I mean.
Why should I?
The girl has no money. I have.
That doesn't answer my question.
Perhaps this will.
Appear to be a small package of dollar bills.
It happens to be $1,000.
Archie, will you?
I will. It is $1,000.
Thank you. Mr. Porter.
Yes?
You're paying me $1,000 in order that I refuse to act for Miss Spencer. Nothing more.
That's right.
What does she suspect you of?
I said nothing about... Well, that is... You must know that as well as I do.
Possibly, and nevertheless, what does she suspect you of?
Being a blackmailer.
Whereas your occupation really is?
I'm a musician. Pianist. I'm appearing nightly at the Windsor Hotel.
Archie, have you made out a receipt for Mr. Porter?
Yep.
Give it to him and show him to the door.
Okay. Mr. Porter?
Mr. Wolfe, I want your assurance that the entire affair is definitely finished.
My association with Miss Spencer, you mean? You have my assurance that it is. You'll forgive a classical illusion. Bravo.
Thank you. Good night.
Mr. Wolfe, I have a secret about Mr. Porter. He smells.
Some perfume or other. More important, his right coat cuff is more worn than his left cuff. And the cough happens to be a musical term meaning start again from the beginning.
Oh? Porter thought it meant finished.
Therefore, Mr. Porter is a liar. His ignorance of common musical term indicates that he's not a musician. The worn right coat cuff, that he is an office worker.
That's kind of leaping to a deduction. But even if Porter's a liar, Mr. Wolfe, there is something else. He paid you $1,000 to drop a client named Dorothy Spencer. Mr. Wolfe, you never had a client with that name. Well, that's that. Dorothy Spencer is not in. Anyway, she's not answering her phone. Mr. Wolfe, I said...
I know what you said. Ah.
That a comment?
I'm worried. Mr. Porter may have assumed erroneously that Dorothy Spencer had employed or was intending to employ me. That does not explain why he lied about his occupation.
Maybe he didn't lie. After all, your deductions could be wrong.
Phooey.
Okay. Take care of that right now. I'm phoning her. Hello? Windsor Hotel? Get me the manager's office. Thanks. Could you tell me if a Charles Porter plays the piano at... Uh-huh. She sounds blonde. I see. Thanks a lot. What do you do after work? Oh, so long. She goes home and beats her husband.
About Porter, Archie.
Bad news. He does play the piano at the Windsor in the move room. So where does that leave your deductions?
Untouched, of course. Let me think. Yes, naturally.
Naturally what?
I came to the conclusion that Mr. Porter was an office worker. We have just discovered that Mr. Porter is not an office worker, therefore...
You were wrong.
I am never wrong. Therefore, the man who was here is not Charles Porter.
Mr. Wolfe, do you think a man of your weight should climb out on a limb like that?
Fiddlesticks. Look up Porter in the phone book and call him.
Okay. Take a second. Archie, the phone company's best friend. Yep, here he is. What do I ask him?
There'll be no need to ask Mr. Porter anything. Just phone.
You're the boss. Yeah. I have to say something to the guy. Hello. I'd like to speak to Charles Porter. So would you. Who's... Oh, Stebbins, huh? Yeah, that's right, Archie. Oh. No, don't bother why I called. It's a coincidence. Goodbye. You know who that was?
No.
That was Sergeant Stebbins, Sergeant Pearlie Stebbins. I might add, as though you didn't know, that Stebbins happens to be a sergeant in homicide.
Indeed.
You expected this.
I still don't know what your conversation was about.
It was about Charles Porter, who maybe was a liar, but who isn't going to tell any more lies on account of he was just shot to death.
Well, if it ain't Archie Goodwin. Come in, Goodwin.
Thank you, Sergeant Stebbins.
I've been expecting you.
Oh, that's sweet of you to say that, Pearlie.
Why did you phone Porter?
His right coat cuff was more worn out than his left.
So for that, you had to kill him?
No, actually, I killed him because he didn't know his da capo. Hey.
Yeah, hey. He don't look good anymore, eh? Guys who stop bullets with their face never look good.
Pearlie, you've been robbed.
I did.
That corpse is not Porter.
Now, relax, Goodwin, relax. His fingerprints were on file and they check. His girlfriend says he's Porter. If he could get up and talk, he'd tell you he was Porter. And what makes you think he isn't?
Well, because when he visited us earlier tonight, he looked different. Not much, but... You said girlfriend?
Yes, I said girlfriend. She's in the next room mopping up. She kind of broke down when we brought her here.
You brought her here? Now, don't tell me what her name is.
Why shouldn't I? It's Spencer. Dorothy Spencer.
Ooh, that's what I was afraid of.
Sergeant, Oh.
Ignore him. He comes with the woodwork.
His name is Goodwin, Miss Spencer. Archie Goodwin. Find what you were looking for?
What I was looking...
Somebody's gone through this place like a minor league hurricane. You?
What business is it of
yours?
yours?
Mine? None, maybe. On the other hand, Nero Wolfe might have other ideas. Matter of fact, I'm sure he'd have. Miss Spencer, why don't you go see him? The address is 601 West 35th Street.
I don't see why.
You want your boyfriend's murderer found, don't you?
Now listen, Goodwin, the police are working on this.
Sure, they'll see to it nobody harms a corpse. Goodbye, Miss Spencer. Don't forget that address, 601 West 35th Street. Believe it or not, you used to be a client of ours. Oh, Mr. Wolfe, you're getting to be so brilliant, it's boring.
Boy. That is,
All right, tonight you deserve it. I'll get you another can of beer. But this is the last one. What's your promise to do some exercise, like maybe standing up and sitting down 5 minutes a day?
Thank you. Why should I indulge in such idiotic behavior?
Well, after a while, you might be able to see your shoes.
I've already seen them.
Oh, that was 20 years ago. Things have changed. No more buttons. Hey, that must be Dorothy Spencer.
She's undoubtedly young and beautiful.
You deduced that from the way she pressed the buzzer?
I deduced that from the gleam in your eye, bah.
Bah, all you want. I'm going to keep that gleam shining. Hello, Miss Spencer. Come in.
Thank you. Mr. Wolfe.
Is the large sitting down gentleman behind the desk. This is Dorothy Spencer, Mr. Wolfe.
You will forgive me not rising. It is due to a necessary conservation of energy rather than rudeness. Archie, a chair.
Sure. Here you are, Miss Spencer.
Thanks.
Now then, Miss Spencer, have the police found anything but dust in Mr. Porter's closet?
Why, no.
You were engaged to Mr. Porter?
I was.
That ring you're wearing, he gave it you?
Yes.
May I see it?
Well, all right. Here.
Thank you. Expensive. Very expensive. You may have it back. Miss Spencer, why are you marrying Charles Porter?
I loved him.
Ooh. Mr. Porter, according to Archie's description, was twice your age with considerably less than half your attractiveness. Love may perhaps be blind, but it is not astigmatic.
I don't know what you mean.
What were you searching for under the nose of the police?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
How did your fiancé earn his money?
He played the piano at the...
Ooh, what he earned there in a year wouldn't begin to pay for the ring he gave you. Would you like to try again?
I don't know how he made his money.
I suggest that you do. I suggest that he earned money by the same method that he induced you to consider marrying him. Blackmail.
Oh, but...
Why was he blackmailing you?
Old letters I'd written when I was too young to know any better.
Your motives for murdering Porter would be twofold, then. Recovery of blackmail material and the avoidance of marriage to a man you dislike.
I didn't kill Charles.
No doorbell, Archie. Get Miss Spencer into the kitchen. Once. Must be the police.
Yeah, let's go, Miss Spencer. Right through that door.
And stay there until I call you. Front door, Archie.
Mr. Wolfe, do I know Dorothy Spencer's here?
You know nothing. A simple role for you to play.
I haven't got time to resent that insult right now, but wait until the next time you drop a collar button. Well, bless my soul, if it isn't dear old Inspector Kramer. How is the homicide department?
Where's Wolfe?
Big surprise. He's sitting.
Mr. Wolfe?
Good evening, Inspector.
Where's Dorothy Spencer?
This is not the Bureau of Missing Persons.
The district attorney would like to talk to her.
I shall tell her so the next time we meet.
Yeah, that could be right now. She's in this house.
I don't see her.
Mind if I look around for myself?
You have a search warrant, of course.
It so happens no, but...
Archie, the inspector's leaving.
Okay, I'm leaving. I suppose by the time I get back with a warrant, she'll be in Hoboken.
Hoboken? Where's that?
Look, Wolfe, you can go too far. One of these days you won't be able to talk yourself out of it. Trail me to the door, Goodwin, to show what a good detective you are.
Ooh, Inspector Kramer doesn't love us anymore.
Unfortunate. Archie, take Miss Spencer to a respectable hotel. Register her under an assumed name. She is to stay there until notified otherwise. Luckily, the good inspector neglected to inform us that she was the leading suspect in a murder case. Hence, we are not accessories after the fact, and I don't want her arrested for murder as yet.
Her beauty has won you over.
You will then return here immediately.
Okay. What are you going to be doing in the meanwhile?
I, Archie, shall be thinking. Archie?
No. No, not Archie.
Our impatient and non-musical friend came in through the window. How are you, Mr. Not Porter, of course.
Where's the girl?
Question is beginning to bore me. I don't know.
I think she's here.
So did the police. I might add that they were slightly closer to the truth. Incidentally, what makes you think she was Porter's accomplice?
She must have been.
Nonsense, she wasn't. Porter was blackmailing her, just as he was blackmailing you. In her case, it was letters. In yours, a previous criminal record, perhaps, that your employers might be interested in.
I want to know where she is. Maybe this would help you remember.
Good heavens, don't point a pistol at me. It annoys me. The police, I should think, opened the door for them like a good fellow.
Oh, no. I'm leaving. But if I don't find that girl, I'll be back.
Knock the blasted thing down if it isn't open.
All right, well, I've got the search warrant.
Also, no doubt, a fine tooth comb. Bah. By the way, Inspector.
All right, boys, cover the house.
All right, Inspector.
Yeah, what did you want?
As your men go through the house, will you have one of them shut the back window? I've just had a burglar, and I suspect he left it open. Unless the matter is attended to, the house might be filled with fresh air.
Yeah, what's the matter with that?
Fresh air, deadly poison. It clogs the lungs. And may I point out that the warrant you're clutching in your hot little hand is not a lease on the house. Finish your search quickly, if you please, and then... why not try Hoboken?
So I just missed the inspector, huh?
You did?
That I can stand. I'm sorry about the burglar, though.
Perhaps we can arrange to have you meet him in the morning.
He left his calling card with name and address on it?
He dropped his handkerchief here on my desk.
Oh. It's a handkerchief.
It smells.
So it does. But,
all of our unknown friends' clothes carry the odor. Therefore...
Yeah?
You will go out immediately to the nearest drugstore, buy a specimen of every cake of soap manufactured in this country.
Mr. Wolfe?
Be still. No.
I never realized just how many different brands of soap are made in this country.
You should listen to the radio more often.
So far, we've sniffed at 37 cakes. None of them smell like porter. Let's see. 38. Hey.
Let me have it, Archie. Yes, the soap. It's labeled orchid ovals. I should say basically mislabeled. Orchids have no odor. Our task for the evening is finished.
Why? All we know is the guy washes with a basely mislabeled soap.
No, the odor would not have been so persistent in that case. Unquestionably, our visitor works for a soap company that makes orchid ovals. Every employee of a plant in which perfume in large quantities is used inevitably carries the odor on his clothes.
Oh. And you already deduced he works in an office. Uh-huh. I go see him in the morning?
You do?
You know, Mr. Wolfe, what with hiring rooms for girls and paying visits to a perfume factory, I'm beginning to feel like a maiden aunt.
No one would ever mistake you for a maiden aunt, Archie.
Thanks. Is that another deduction?
Maiden aunts rarely need a shave.
Orchid Ovals, good morning. 1 moment, please. Oh, can I do anything for you, sir?
Yeah. That is, let's postpone that question and slip in another one. I'm looking for one of your office people. In his 40s, 5'10", brown hair and eyes, speaks in a sharp, quick voice.
He owes you money, too.
Who owes me money?
Mr. Wheeler, the man you were describing. He owes everybody money, in spite of the fact that he's office manager and makes lots and lots of money. How much does he owe you?
Oh, not an awful lot. It won't break me if I don't get it. Is he in yet?
Well, he was, but he went home. He was sort of sick.
Sort of?
He got a phone call from somebody and rushed out.
Too bad. Well, I better scram.
Well, you didn't answer my question yet. I'm off at 5. My name's Gwen.
Goodbye.
Wolfe speaking.
Archie here. Unknown's name is Wheeler. He left the office this morning sick after he got a mysterious phone call.
Bad, probably. Get to Dorothy Spencer at once and bring her here.
Right. I'm at Wheeler's house now. Thought I'd better check. His wife's here, too.
Blonde?
Uh-huh. How could you tell?
Fatuous smirk in your voice. Get out of there fast, and don't stop to console Mrs. Wheeler.
(908) Room 909. Miss Dorothy Spencer. Nobody home.
Shut that door behind you, Goodwin.
What? Never mind pulling triggers. I'll shut it.
Oh, Archie.
I would prefer silence. Keep your hands high, Goodwin.
It's unhealthy. All the blood had run into my head.
Archie, he murdered Charles.
He did. Tut, Mr. Wheeler. You really shouldn't have. It's against the law.
Get into the bathroom, both of you.
I already shaved.
I phoned him. I thought maybe he had my letters.
Porter couldn't keep his mouth shut about his other
He
victims.
was going to force Dorothy to marry him. Did you find his material, Wheeler?
Yes, in an office. He read it as a front. It's all burned.
And why all the melodrama?
You know about me, so does she. I can't trust anyone. Get into the bathroom, I said.
Look, let's not lose our heads about this.
Get moving, Goodwin.
I like it here.
All right, then. Here is where you'll get it.
Hey, wait a minute. Something's wrong. I got shot and Wheeler fell down.
I shot him, Goodwin.
Stebbins. Dear Sergeant Stebbins. Oh, you little flat-footed angel.
It's lucky for you my flat feet got staked out here in time.
Just for that, I'll buy you a pair of arch supports for your next birthday. But I'm beginning not to believe this. You had it all figured out?
Well, not exactly. Well, that is,
Wolfe sent you here.
Well, he kind of phoned in and suggested one of us shoot down here and do some rescue work.
That old devil.
Hey, you're not kidding.
What are you laughing about?
Wolfe wasn't sure whether you'd need rescuing from Wheeler or...
Stop killing yourself with your own jokes.
Or whether Miss Spencer would need rescuing from you.
You've been a very foolish young woman, Miss Spencer. I suggest that in the future you exercise more care in your correspondence.
Oh, I shall, Mr. Wolfe, but how can I ever thank you?
Well, one way would be to listen wide-eyed while he explains how he solved the case.
I have no intention.
Oh, come on, Mr. Wolfe. Stop stalling.
Please, Mr. Wolfe.
Well, I'd be very happy to. As a matter of fact, I'd like to see anyone try to stop me. A man came to me, offered me $1,000 to drop a client I didn't have. Why? Because obviously he wished to direct my attention to that client.
Me?
You, Miss Spencer. Now then, he identified himself as Charles Porter, a musician. But I tested him and discovered that he knew nothing of music.
Ha! The da capo routine.
Precisely. Therefore, he was an imposter. His purpose?
Yeah?
To indicate by no means subtly that enmity existed between Porter and Dorothy Spencer.
Huh?
Thus, when Porter was found murdered, I would presumably be convinced that Dorothy Spencer, balked in her effort to enlist my aid against Porter, had resorted to most foul and bloody murder.
Most foul and bloody murder is very fancy, Dorothy. Shows he likes you.
I thereupon asked myself, why should an unknown seek to convince me that Dorothy Spencer was Porter's murderer?
And you answered yourself?
One reason only, because he himself intended to murder Porter, as he did. For which peccadillo he has, thanks to Sergeant Stebbins' accuracy with a revolver, already paid with his own life. Quodiat demonstrandum.
Latin for that's what you wanted to know.
I think you're wonderful, Mr. Wolfe, and I'm going to...
Ah, be careful.
Kiss you.
Archie, Miss Spencer is a very dangerous young woman.
Today I feel brave.
Do you, Archie?
Very brave. What are you doing tonight?
Nothing.
Let's do it together.
Bah.
Oh, is that Mr. Wolfe?
I said bah. Would you very much mind conducting your romance elsewhere?
I would not.
And do so at once. I have a very important matter to attend to.
Goodbye, Mr. Wolfe.
Goodbye.
Night, sir.
Very important. Very important.
You have been listening to The New Adventures of Nero Wolfe, starring Sidney Greenstreet. Tonight's transcribed story was based on the characters created by Rex Stott, produced and directed by J. Donald Wilson. In the cast were Lamont Johnson as Archie Goodwin, and Jane Webb, Peter Leeds, Bill Johnstone, and Wilms Herbert. Next week at this same time, Nero Wolfe and Archie will bring you The Case of the Dear Dead Lady. Don Stanley speaking. Three chimes mean good times on NBC. The NBC chimes are excited about the big show, an hour and a half every Sunday night with Tallulah Bankhead as Femme C. Comedy with stars like Jimmy Durante, Fred Allen, Jack Carson, Groucho Marx, and a host of others. Music with Meredith Wilson, Mindy Carson, and many more. It presents drama with Mr. Jose Ferrer and many more leading stars of Broadway and Hollywood. It's The Big Show. Starts Sunday, November 5th on NBC.
This is Chester William Bendix Riley. The Man Called X follows on NBC.
Welcome back. Well, this episode is pretty much a remake of the episode from The Adventures of Nero Wolfe that we've heard, the Last Laugh murder case, with a few differences based on this no longer being in wartime. Of course, it had been 7 years since that episode aired, so the producers of the program felt pretty free to reuse the script. And you kind of wonder how many of these other Nero Wolfe scripts might not have been based on a previous incarnation of the series that we just simply haven't found. Alright, well, we do have a review on iTunes. This one's from Big Irish. Big Irish writes, "First and foremost, I'd like to thank you for all your time and effort. I love your podcast. I listen every day at work pretty much all day long. I don't think I could get through the day without it. I do have one small problem, though. The sound level at the end of the show when you start talking is so much higher than the rest of the show. I wear headphones to listen, and it almost blows my eardrums up." Okay, maybe that was a little exaggerated. Anyway, even if you are not able to do something about the sound level, I will be listening for a long time to come. And it's from Brandon B. in Indianapolis. Well, I've tried not to be as sudden or loud in my welcome back, though I like it to be maybe a little bit louder than the rest of the show, but I will continue to work on that. Thank you so much for the comment. A brief reminder before we get into today's episode of Let George Do It, to support your local Salvation Army at salvationarmyusa.org. Well, let's get into today's episode of Let George Do It, Death in Blue Jeans.
Standard of California, on behalf of independent Chevron gas stations and standard stations throughout the West, invites you to Let George Do It. Death in Blue Jeans, another adventure of George Valentine.
Personal notice, changes my stock and trade. If you feel as though you've just read your own name in the obituary columns, you got a job for me, George Valentine. Write full details.
My dear Mr. Valentine, as the librarian in a small mother-lode town like Benson Flats, I don't see much of the world, but right here in my own books, I can see murder. And the horrible part of it is the man who will die won't believe it. Mr. Valentine, he's the man I've chosen to marry. Please come, please hurry. But don't on any account let anyone know why you're coming, or all of us will be in terrible danger. You can find me alone at the library in the evening. Yours truly, Miss Emily Wintrick. It's cold.
Fresh air, Brooksy, fresh air. You're in the mountains.
Well, you don't have to drive over every one of them, do you?
Sorry, Angel. They must have built this road back in the gold rush. Hey, you hear that? Sounded like...
Hey, George. Where are they coming from?
I don't know. It's so dark in all these trees.
Well, maybe someone's out hunting.
Hey, hang on, Brooksy. Get down, get down.
Oh, golly, could you see anybody?
Flashes by the side of the road. They were aimed at us, all right.
But how could they find out about Miss Wintrick riding to us and... Hey, George, what's that?
That's a roadblock. Somebody's stopping all the cars.
Yeah, there's a man with a lantern talking to them.
Yeah, well, he looks official. Maybe now we get the answer.
All right, drive on.
Wow, good evening.
Well, hello, folks. Welcome to Benson Flats.
Well, does everybody coming to town get shot at, or were we just lucky?
That happen to you, stranger?
Don't tell me you didn't hear. It was just around the last curve.
Is that so?
excuse my lantern. Got to check. That's all.
Well, you don't have to hold that gun so close I can count the notches.
He don't aim to hurt nobody, so just step out of the car quiet-like. Come on now.
You better, George.
Okay, Jesse James. Now, do you mind telling me what this is all about?
Don't be so all-fired touchy, stranger.
You need me, Pete?
Yeah, Dusty. Suppose you drive the girl into town.
Oh, no, you don't, Frank.
Stranger, cut it out.
Look out, Pete.
Don't worry.
Oh, now look, little Abner,
For
if
the
you...
last time, stranger. Nobody's going to get hurt unless you want it that way.
What do you characters think you're doing?
Just taking your boyfriend to a nice, safe place, lady.
Huh?
The jail.
Hey, come on. Jailer. Anybody.
All right. Simmer down. I don't feel so good. I don't like all that noise.
Well, that's tough, Buster. What's this all about?
Just call me Saddlebags, partner. Everybody else does.
Why? Because you wear them under your eyes?
Oh, hey, that's pretty good. No, I'll tell you. I come to see you because I'm the judge.
Judge? You look about as legitimate as this jail does.
Well, it used to be the jail, back in the old mining days. I remember back in...
Forget it, will you? Now, what do you want? What did they do with the girl, Miss Brooks?
Ain't interested in history, huh? Okay, partner. If that's the way you feel. Come on, but I want to remind you, no tricks now.
Don't worry. I'll wait till we're using my deck.
Maybe it's ulcers you got that makes you act like... Oh, I know. All you care about's the girl. All right, partner, take a look.
What?
Hello, George.
Hey, Brooksy, what on earth is this?
Order in the court, everybody! Order in the court!
Oh, George, you look so funny.
He sure does, miss. And it's going to cost him $20.
What? Would you...
You don't have a beard.
$20 or back to jail. If you shave while you're in town, $20 more.
You... A beard? Oh, brother, now I've heard everything.
Welcome to the Benson's Flat Centennial Week, partner. Everything like it used to be 100 years ago. Don't stand the foot. Don't worry. Blank cottages won't hurt you now. Come on, boys. Let's get another stranger without a beard.
Oh, Mr. Valentine, I'm so glad you finally got here.
It took him a little time to count out $20, Miss Winthrop.
Not so loud, please.
Does one always whisper in the library, even when there's nobody around?
Oh, but there is someone over there behind the magazines. Now, if you'll follow me, we'll go in here where we can talk. But take a good look at it as you go by.
Yeah, all right, Miss Winthrop.
There. That's why I asked you to come in this evening. Did you see him?
Yeah, tall, graying, dignified, but dressed in homemade clothes.
He looked like he was just staring at those comic books.
He comes in here every night. He just sits there. He's trying to be casual, that's all. But then he takes his real books out.
Oh, Miss Winthrop, suppose you start at the beginning.
Yes, what does all this have to do with the murder you said you were afraid of? He's certainly not the one you've chosen.
Oh, well, I hope to goodness not. But you see, he is the man out there. Is Henry Benson.
Benson, like in Benson Flats?
Yes, it's an old-time mining family. Only Henry's never been in town until the last 2 weeks. He's always lived in the hills alone ever since he was a boy. Most people don't even remember there was such a person.
I see.
He came to visit his brother unexpectedly. His brother, who's considerably more well-to-do than he.
In mining?
Oh, there's very little mining here these days. But his brother is the owner of the big family house and so on.
And it's the brother you're going to marry, is it?
Yes. His Saddlebags, Benson.
Saddlebags? You mean you and...
Yes, indeed, Mr. Valentine. Of course, it's still a secret to everyone else, but I assure you we've already asked each other.
Well, how nice. But frankly, I'm a little surprised myself, Miss Winthrop. Saddlebags didn't impress me as being, well, exactly your type.
Then you've met him.
Yes, we could hardly avoid it.
Oh, I know he's rough and full of good spirits, but that's what I love about him. He's so, well,
Miss Winfrey, what makes you think that you...
Oh, Mr. Ben...
Excuse me.
Why, not at all.
If you're busy, I'll wait.
Oh, no. Miss Wintrick's just showing us around. You see, we're magazine reporters covering the centennial.
You'll find most of that outside, mister.
Did you want me to check some more books out, Mr. Benson?
I can wait, thanks.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. We still have lots of questions we want to ask Miss Winter.
Oh, yes, of course. I'll take care of you right now.
That's quite a stack of books you have there, friend. You must do a lot of reading. And, you must like science, Mr. Benson.
Huh? Why? Just give me back the book, please.
Yeah, sure.
Night, Miss Winfrey.
Good night, Mr. Benson.
Hey, strange, isn't he?
So he's reading An Introduction to Basic Chemistry and Beacon's Guide to...
Oh, I've made a list of the others he's taken. Here it is. Every book we have in the library on poison.
Uh-huh. And it's your idea from that he's going to poison his brother's saddlebags?
Oh, I know it sounds far-fetched, but Henry's penniless. And they're the only two left in the family, so he's everything to gain.
Oh, but really, Miss Winter?
Listen, please. Saddlebags has always been as healthy as an old horse. Even the doctor told him so the last time he was in the city. But 3 times in the last week, 3 times, mind you, he's had attacks. Spells.
Oh, George, he didn't look too well tonight.
Yeah, I remember. Well, what's his explanation, Miss Wintrick?
Oh, he just laughs and says I'm being silly, but... Mr. Valentine, you're not going to say that, are you? You will stay. You will help me, won't you?
All right, Miss Wintrick, all right. We'll check in at the hotel and see you in the morning.
Oh, thank you.
And don't let it worry you if I'm wearing a beard.
Good night.
Good night, Miss Wintrick.
Brother, will you listen to that? Really whooping it up, aren't they?
Yeah, and the little spinster sits there in her library scared to death of something else. You know, George, now I'm the one who's beginning to wonder.
Uh-huh. I know what you're thinking, Brooksy. If there is anything to her idea, poison's a funny weapon for any man up here to pick, isn't it?
Poison? A woman's weapon? Oh, no, she couldn't. George!
I'm sorry, Angel. I didn't mean to shove hard. But I think we'll make a complaint to the local sheriff in the morning.
What's the matter?
There's too much shooting going on here. Look at my coat.
But, oh, George.
Yeah. That hole didn't come from a blank cartridge or from a spinster's imagination.
Yeah, square dancing in the street, 10 o'clock in the morning. Oh, boy.
Yeah, sounds like fun, Sheriff, but I wish you'd...
Yeah, sure is. But being shot at's a little different, eh, Mr. Valentine? Yes, I know. My assistant out there, Stevens, told me you complained about it.
Well, I'm just touchy about things like that.
Last night, eh? And you're magazine people, he says. Not very good public relations for Benson Flats.
You don't seem to take this very seriously, Sheriff.
Oh, but you must realize it was just an accident, Miss Brooks. You do, now don't you, Mr. Valentine?
Maybe.
Mr. Valentine, you don't impress me as a man who'd be complaining about a near miss.
Well, Sheriff, maybe I just want to do a little horse trading.
Huh? What do you mean?
We forget to advertise the book, and in return you give us some good stories. You know, good local color.
Oh, well, now you're talking my language.
What do you know about the Benson family, Sheriff?
Huh? Benson's? Why?
Well, it's Benson Flats. That'd make a good article.
Yeah, I can see how you'd feel that way.
Saddlebags is certainly a colorful character.
No soap. Saddlebags is pretty busy right now. Centennial Committee and all. I'm not sure he'd want to be bothered.
I'm asking you, Sheriff.
Sorry. Can't help you, Mr. Valentine.
Well, what about his brother, the big silent mountain man? There's such a contrast.
I don't know much about Henry either, miss.
Look, we thought there might be something in why he came to town for the first time in years, you know, that's all.
Did you? Oh, say now. No. You're off on the wrong tack, folks. What you want is some real color, like the hang tree or...
And there's nothing you want to tell us about the Bensons, eh, Sheriff?
But if there's any other way I can help, any other way...
Hey, Sheriff.
Oh, it's nothing.
George.
Mr. Stevens, anybody get a doctor, quick.
It won't do much good, Brooksy.
What?
That poison Miss Wintrick worried so much about. The sheriff seems to be full of it.
We'll return to tonight's adventure of George Valentine in just a moment. When Mother wants to use the family car for some hurry-up shopping, when Brother wants the car for a very special date, or when it's Dad's club night, there had just better be Chevron Supreme gasoline in the tank. For there are no slow starts with premium quality Chevron Supreme. The moment you press the starter, you're off to a good start, a fast start. Chevron Supreme's special blending gives your car faster warm-up, too, and ping-free power on hills. Count on it to get the best out of your car wherever you drive and whatever the reason. You see, Chevron Supreme's climate-tailored, specially blended according to the time of year and to each different altitude and temperature zone in the West. For today's high-compression engines, you can't buy a better gasoline. Try Tankful tomorrow. Get Chevron Supreme at standard stations and at independent Chevron gas stations where they say and mean, we take better care of your car. You drive to an isolated little town in the Mother Lode, only to find that they've rolled back the sidewalks for a centennial celebration. Before you know it, you're not only charged $20 for not sporting a beard, but you're shot at. You go to see your client, a timorous spinster who fears that the man she's chosen to marry will be murdered by his brother. But it's the cagey local sheriff who dies instead. Well, when the doctor confirms that the weapon was poison, you turn the crime over to the proper authorities. But then at least if you study the primer as well as George Valentine does, you waste no time in cherching la femme.
Oh, dear. But what did you tell them? What did you tell them about me?
Oh, not much, Miss Wintrick.
But what?
Well, the man who's handling it, Mr. Stevens, seems both efficient and trustworthy. But I didn't tell him much. Because I don't think you told me much.
Well, I explained to you last night.
Yeah, I know, Miss Wintrick. You showed us Henry Benson, who's been taking out books on poison. But you gave us no reason why you were so sure he was thinking of murder.
But I told you.
Come to think of it, why all this secrecy in the first place?
Yes, everything's secret, even your engagement to Saddlebags.
Oh, stop it. Stop it, both of you.
Now, look, Miss Wintrick, I'm afraid you'll have to trust us a little more.
Oh, I'm so confused. The poor sheriff dying and oh, dear.
Please, we just want to help you.
Did you ever see what happens in a gold rush?
Gold?
You mean somebody's actually...
I did, Mr. Valentine. Right here in my own library, I found gold.
Go on.
Well, I was doing the research for the Centennial, old papers and letters and so on, and I came across a description of a lost mine, one of the old Benson mines.
And so you went to Saddlebags with the news?
I didn't know what else to do. I knew I could trust him, and anyway, it really belonged to him. Besides, I'd always... Well, if he found out about the mine from me...
I think I understand, Miss Wintrick.
Oh, it's been the most thrilling thing in my life, having a secret with him. With a man.
Yeah.
Of course, you understand, I wasn't asking for a share of the mine or anything like that, but... Now, well, he does like me. There's no reason we can't be happy together.
Yes, I'm sure he loves you for yourself.
Thank you. He might someday. Anyway, there was so much to be done at first. The legal things on the property and arranging the claims without letting anyone guess.
Well, what about his brother, Henry?
Well, I told you he came to town unexpectedly, and of course, Saddlebags intended to save him his proper share, but Henry was always so unpredictable, so unreliable. So Saddlebags just told him a little bit about some good luck and begged him to be patient.
Uh-huh. And just about then, Henry started coming here to the library to take out books on poison.
Emily!
Saddlebags!
Where in tarnation are you? Emily! Oh!
come on now, Saddlebags. The doctor said you should keep drinking this. Come on.
Don't taste good, Miss Brooks.
Yeah, I know.
Why can't I have some whiskey?
You'll have no such thing, Saddlebags.
Oh, blast your skinny soul, Emily. Okay.
That's better. Come
on. Where am I, anyway?
You're all right, Saddlebags. Doctor will take you home in a few minutes.
Oh, hello, Stevens. And partner.
Uh-huh.
Going whiskers now, I see. Good.
Yeah, that's right. I wanted to be in the spirit of things. For the gold rush.
What?
But I told them. I had to tell them. Oh, Saddleback, I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's all right, Emily. It's all right. Everything's been taken care of anyway. Legal stuff all finished.
Okay, then maybe you'll answer some fast questions.
Maybe.
We talked to the sheriff earlier, but he didn't want to talk about you.
That's natural.
Why?
Well, he's in on it with me, that's why. Helping with the legal end. He's sort of a small partner.
You mean was. The sheriff's dead.
Dead? But he stopped by the house just after breakfast for a little...
The sheriff was poisoned.
And he ate breakfast in the drugstore. We checked.
Who's we?
Him and me and...
And Henry?
Told him all about the mine this morning. Figured it was time to.
Then he poured the drinks. I know he did. He must have.
Oh, shut up, Emily. No, he didn't. Only, come to think of it, he didn't take one either. He said he'd wait till later.
Do you know where he is now?
No, darn it, I don't. Look, Stevens, he's a Benson, and I don't care what Emily thinks.
Hey, Saddlebags. The doctor said you had more poison in you than the sheriff. Now, come on. You've got a pretty good idea where he is, don't you? Why don't you spill it?
All right. Heading for the mine, of course. A little while after the sheriff left the house, I went into my desk to look up the papers.
Yeah?
Only when I opened the desk, I saw the old original letter telling about the location of the mine was missing. Yelled for Henry. He wasn't anywhere in the house. Well, I thought maybe Emily had it. I was on the way to the library to ask her when the pains got me.
Okay, Saddlebags, thanks. All set, Valentine? You ready?
Look, Stevens, do you mind telling me what you're going to do with the rest of those people out there? You don't need that many deputies to go beating the brush for Henry.
We can handle the crowd, all right.
How'd they find out so fast anyway?
In a little town, you'd be surprised how well folks add two and two, Miss Brooks. Here's a gun for you, Valentine.
Hey, wait a second. Hey, listen to that.
Pretty Giants is just like in the good old days.
Are you sure?
I said don't worry. The minute that crowd finds out it's Gold Henry's up there for, they'll forget all about him. Then we'll have the whole state of California on our necks.
Okay, Stevens, but we're not going with you.
But I
No, we're out of it. You've got your crimes and you know who you're looking for. Come on, Brooksy.
Okay, see you later.
George, what on
They
earth?
just don't know where to look, Brooksy, that's all.
Huh?
Come on, Angel, out the back way. We're going to get Henry Benson first.
Say, this must have been quite a place in the old days when it was kept up.
Yeah. Take it easy, Angel. I don't know exactly what we're going to find, but I think we'd better go in without knocking.
California hospitality.
Yeah. Well, here goes nothing. Mr. Benson? Mr. Benson!
Well, George, it's only a hunch Henry's here anyway. It's only...
Listen. Okay, that's upstairs.
Yeah.
Not in here.
This room, George.
Yeah, there he is, all right.
Oh, not again.
I'm afraid so, Brooksy. More poison.
Look, George, he's still holding a bottle.
Come on, get his collar loose.
No.
Must have just taken it a few minutes ago.
George, the bottle's even marked. Penciled on the whiskey label. Special bottle.
I guess that's it, all right. Exhibit A. Now, look, Brooksy, there's got to be a phone. Or if there isn't, take the car.
Yeah, I know, George.
Hey, how about that? Right in your pocket, huh? The old mine letter.
Saddlebags! Doctor!
Uh-huh.
Doctor, hurry!
Hey, hurry up here, will you? Come on, get up here.
Yes, Captain, I'm coming. What is it?
Got another customer, Doc.
Well, looks like he paid his own bill, don't it? Henry! Partner, what happened? All right, clear out of here, all of you. Go on, out of here. Get out. Can he do anything? Can he save him?
I don't know, Saddlebags.
Henry must have seen all the excitement in town. He knew everybody was out to find him, so instead of going to the mine, he came back here.
Yeah, it looks that way.
And then because he knew the jig was up, he drank his own whiskey.
I won't believe it.
Well, it's what the evidence says. The bottle was in his hand. This was in his pocket.
Mine letter from my desk. Description of where the mine is.
Uh-huh. And nobody could have planted this stuff on him after the poison hit, because that only happened a few minutes ago. Anyway, he was the one who took those books on poisoning out of the library in the first place.
I know, but doggone it.
Buck up, Saddlebags, buck up. You're taking this too hard.
George's gun!
Partner!
Sidearms, Brooksy. Only now I've got it. How do you like that, tenderfoot? Little trick I learned from seeing westerns. And I'll bet this isn't loaded with blanks either. And the bullet that just missed me last night came from this gun.
Partner, what's the matter with you?
Your brother didn't leave this house since breakfast, did he? He didn't even know there was a mine to go look at.
What are you talking about?
You, Saddlebags. A guy who's so greedy for gold, he's got to rub out everyone who owns a share and blame it on his brother. What are you going to do with Emily? Just not marry her?
You're out of your mind.
You've been working on it for a couple of weeks. You even gave yourself small doses of poison to build up a resistance, so you wouldn't die when you drank it this morning with the sheriff.
George!
You just been saying the evidence is the letter.
That's easy, friend, like the bottle. Just suppose after the sheriff left, you gave the bottle to Henry, knowing he'd drink from it sooner or later.
What?
And the letter. Suppose you gave him the letter and told him to keep it. Only he never knew what was in it. Just like he never knew what was in those books you sent him down to the library to get.
You're not making sense, partner. Henry, he'd blind.
No, but he's a better patsy than if he were. Because you've been keeping a secret for your bashful, backward hillbilly brother, haven't you?
George, what are you driving at?
But everything that happened does make sense. If you just suppose for a minute that Henry can't read.
Yes, Henry took the books out by number, index number. I understand, but...
Oh, well, Miss Wintrick, we have to be going. It's a long drive.
But how did Saddlebags persuade Henry to run his errands for him? And why was Henry so bashful about not being able to read?
Do we have to draw you a diagram? Ask him. He's all better. Henry liked to come to the library. He liked to sit there pretending he was reading the comic books. What's that?
You see, Emily, he really wanted to look at the library.
Oh, but you don't. Oh, Henry Benson? Do you really think so?
Goodbye, Miss Wintrick.
Good luck.
Well, if at first you don't succeed, try again.
Oh, George, do we have to go so soon? We haven't even seen the centennial.
We have much time, Angel. Hey, what are you doing?
Loading a square down his pocket. Oh, darling.
Maybe it's not such a bad idea, then.
Ooh, your beard, George, I forgot. Well, so long, Benson Flat. See you when you have a shave.
If you're going away on a vacation pretty soon, you're probably figuring out just where you'll be driving each day and how you're going to spend those happy vacation hours. To help you stay on your carefree vacation schedule, why not give your car's engine the extra protection of RPM motor oil? This compounded premium quality oil cleans the engine as it lubricates. A special detergent in RPM disperses sludgy carbon particles, keeps internal parts cleaner, free of carbon and lacquer deposits. Other compounds in RPM stop corrosive rust, protect the hot spots left bare and exposed to wear by ordinary motor oils. So rely on RPM motor oil to help keep your vacation free of trouble. Remember, the extra protection RPM gives car engines makes it first choice in the West. Ask for RPM at independent Chevron gas stations and at standard stations where they say and mean, we take better care of your car. Next week, when we catch up with the very groggy George Valentine aboard a luxury cruiser in foreign waters, we'll hear...
Oh. Take it easy, darling. You've been out, that's all.
Sure, and the hammer works. Hey, Brooksy, the ship isn't moving. What time is it?
10 o'clock. In the morning. What happened, George?
Oh, I don't know. I was walking on the deck and the Empire State Building fell on me. 10 o'clock, huh? Well, then we've dropped anchor. Come on, quick, Brooksy, give me my coat.
George, you're not going ashore.
Not yet, because there's a fortune in smuggled stuff on this ship. And, Brooksy, I want to be sure it's still there.
Tonight's adventure of George Valentine has been brought to you by Standard of California on behalf of independent Chevron gas stations and standard stations throughout the West. Robert Bailey is starred as George, with Francis Robinson as Brooksy. Let George Do It is written by David Victor and Herbert Little, Jr. and directed by Don Clark. Also heard in the cast were Sarah Selby as Emily, Horace Murphy as Saddlebags, Stephen Chase as Henry, Dick Ryan as Sheriff, Ken Christie as Pete, and Jack Mather as Stevens. The music is composed and presented by Eddie Dunstetter. Your announcer, John Heaston. Listen again next week, same time, same station, to Let George Do It. This is the Mutual Don Lee Broadcasting System.
Welcome back. Well, that had to be one of the more surrealistic moments that I've heard in radio. When George Valentine got ticketed by the police for driving without a beard. And it does seem throughout the history of mankind, we've kind of vacillated between the rule, you must have a beard, and the rule, you cannot have a beard, as a cultural standard. Thus, we men living in the 21st century enjoy a great deal of beard or beard not liberty. I do have to say, the mystery kind of went how I was thinking it was going to go. The solution that was the prevailing narrative about the illiterate brother was basically just so pat you knew that it had to be wrong. But still, an interesting show. We'll be back tomorrow with Sherlock Holmes. And remember to cast your vote for Andrew Rhines and the Old Time Radio Daily Westerns in the Culture and Arts category at podcastawards.com. And we also encourage you to support the Salvation Army. And the U.S. website is salvationarmyusa.org. Well, we get into today's episode of Sherlock Holmes, The Haunting of Sherlock Holmes. This one with a very different actor playing Dr. Watson. So let's take a listen.
Petri Wine brings you Basil Rathbone and the New Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. The Petri family, the family that took time to bring you good wine, invite you to listen to Dr. Watson tell us another exciting adventure he shared with his old friend, that master detective, Sherlock Holmes. And say, if you'd like to try a new adventure in good eating, will you just make sure that your dinner tomorrow night includes a bottle of Petri California Burgundy. Petri Burgundy is the ideal wine with any kind of meat or meat dish. That Petri Burgundy is a hearty red wine, just as rich in flavor as it is in color. It's the perfect companion to a thick, juicy steak or a piping hot pot roast or a good hamburger. You know that Petri Burgundy has a happy faculty of turning a simple meal like, say, a hamburger sandwich into a feast. Believe me, here is a wine that's clear, fragrant, and delicious. A wine that you can serve to your friends proudly. Petri Burgundy. Remember, the name Petri is the proudest name in the history of America's wines. And now let's join our good friend, Dr. Watson.
I'm out here on the patio, Mr. Bartell.
Well, I see you're making the most of a wonderful evening, Doctor.
Oh, yes, my boy. It's pleasant to sit out here on a summer's night with a good friend and a pipe, a bottle of wine. Help yourself to a glass and sit down.
Oh, thank you, sir. All ready with tonight's new Sherlock Holmes adventure, Doctor?
Yes, and a strange story it is. It was in the autumn of 1899, Mr. Bartell, that I decided both as doctor and friend that Sherlock Holmes was in desperate need of a holiday.
He'd really been overdoing it, huh?
Oh, yes, my boy. It had been an unusually busy year, and at the time my story begins, Holmes was suffering from complete exhaustion. So, my boy, towards the end of October in that year, we found ourselves in the charming city of Kazanlak, capital of the small Balkan kingdom of Grozny. A few nights after our arrival, I remember Pavlu Krasnodar, Groznian minister of police, took us to hear the singing of a certain young Hungarian opera star, Miss Lily Rayner, who was then touring Europe. At our table was her fiancé, the charming young aristocrat Prince Stefano. And it was very easy to see as he sat there listening to the song that the boy was head over heels in love. It was a haunting melody that she sang, Mr. Bartell. I can almost hear it now. You're a very lucky man, Prince Stefano. Your fiancée's voice matches her beauty.
Oh, yes, Dr. Watson. I consider myself the most fortunate man in Grozny.
She has a magnificent voice, the finest singing I can recall since...
Since when, Mr. Holmes?
I was thinking of a prima donna of the Warsaw Opera who attained considerable success in London. Miss Irene Adler.
Oh, by George, yes. She was a criminal, one of the few that outwitted you, Holmes. Oh, that was a case that would have interested you, Mr. Krasnodar.
I'm familiar with it, my dear doctor.
You are unusually solemn tonight, Krasnodar. Have a glass of wine, and I will bring Lily to our table, and we will toast our happiness.
I'm afraid I cannot drink to that toast, Prince Stefano.
Why not? Oh, I know why. You, the notorious lady killer of Grozny, are jealous. You're in love with Lily yourself.
Oh. Prince Stefano, I have sad news for you. I have come here tonight, but for one purpose. To arrest your fiancée.
Huh?
You're joking. It is far from a joke. At my ministry, we have evidence, conclusive evidence, that Miss Lily Rayner is a spy.
Spy? Good Lord.
And the penalty for spying in Grozny?
That, my friend, is why I would drink no toast. In Grozny, the penalty for espionage is death.
Yes, I know, but Holmes, you must do something to save that girl. You can't just turn in for the night without trying to help her in some way. They might shoot her in the morning.
Krasnodar's no fool. Since he's made the arrest, obviously he has a watertight case against the girl.
I suppose so.
One last pipe.
You know, Holmes, I couldn't understand her fiancé's behavior. He didn't do a thing. Just stood there and let Krasnodar arrest the girl.
What could he have done? Krasnodar is commissioner of police. There was no point in arguing with him until the evidence had been examined.
I imagine the prince will try and pull some political strings. After all, Grozny...
Come in.
Oh, who's this now?
Oh, you wish to speak to me?
Mr. Sherlock Holmes, I've come to talk to you about my baby. My name is Martha Greggett.
Your baby? Mr. Holmes doesn't...
Oh, my baby, she is 20 years old, and she is flaxen-haired and beautiful.
Oh, that's an entirely different matter. We'll be delighted to help you, delighted. Sit down, won't you?
On whose behalf have you come to me?
Poor Lily Rayner.
Lily Rayner? Well, that's the girl who's arrested tonight.
I am only her dresser. And yet I'm Martha Greggett. I'm her mother and father. I have toured Europe with her ever since she left Vienna.
She sent you to me tonight, I suppose.
Yes, Mr. Holmes. She said you would understand.
What does she mean by that, I wonder?
She said that Mr. Holmes would take care that a talent like hers should not perish, just because she had broken a few laws.
In other words, she wishes me to establish her innocence in the same breath as she confesses her guilt. I'm afraid I don't take that sort of client. Good night to you.
Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson. I am glad that you came to my office this morning. I can show you the proof of Miss Lily Rayner's guilt. As distinguished foreigners, I should like you to know that though the penalty for political crimes is swift and severe, we are most careful that the incriminating evidence is beyond question. You see these letters?
Yes.
We found them sewed into the bodies of her gown.
Oh, good gracious me.
They're a series of highly dangerous letters from Joseph, the leader of the Revolutionary Party with whom she is obviously hand in glove. Here, you may examine them if you wish.
Say, it looks like Greek to me.
My knowledge of the Grosnian language is far from perfect, but these letters certainly seem to incriminate their owner beyond doubt.
You will observe that the letters have followed her to each of the cities in which she has been singing. All of them ask questions as to the military garrisons and the chances of a successful revolution. She has been a dangerous spy.
Yes, I can see that, sir. But even so, isn't the death penalty excessively severe, particularly for a woman?
Dr. Watson, the Balkan states are a hotbed of European intrigue. Our penalties must be severe, and we cannot make concessions to the sex of a culprit.
This man Joseph, the writer of these letters, have you been able to find any trace of him?
None. If only we could. But we have never even seen the man. However, we are fortunate to trap his assistant and apparently the lady of his choice.
Lady of his choice? But she was engaged to Prince Stefano.
Undoubtedly a blind. In her home, we found an unsigned love letter in English. It was in the same handwriting as these letters from Joseph.
Are you satisfied, Watson?
Well, I suppose.
Obviously, she's guilty. Well, there's no place for me in this affair, particularly when you consider that she made a virtual confession in sending her dresser to me last night.
I suppose you're right, but just the same. If you want to trap this man Josip, I should think you'd be wiser to hold the girl as a hostage. It might bring him on the scene if he's afraid she'll talk. If you hang her, you'll never find him.
Dr. Watson, in my country we found that prompt justice gets the best results. And for your edification, we do not hang in Groznia. The death penalty is exacted at the hands of a firing squad.
And when is the execution to take place?
You have timed your visit well, my friends. Please to step onto the balcony.
Oh, dear.
I think that answers your question, Mr. Holmes.
Great Scott. Against the wall, blindfolded, with a firing squad before her. It's Lily Rayner.
Grosnian justice indeed moves swiftly, Mr. Krasnodar.
It has to, my friend. Capitano! Waspritov?
Great heavens, I can't watch this. I don't care what she's done. I don't want to see it.
Out! Two! First! Out!
She's crumbled to the ground. Poor little thing.
What an artist.
Hard to see a woman executed even if she is a spy.
May all traitors to Groznia die as swiftly.
Oh, but what a loss. Her beautiful voice.
Yes, her beautiful voice. Shall we go in, gentlemen?
You know, Holmes, I can still see that poor girl as she crumbled before the firing squad.
So can I, old chap.
That's her song you're playing, isn't it?
Yes. The melody still haunts me. You blame me, don't you?
Oh, blame you for what?
for not preventing her death.
Oh, of course I don't blame you, Holmes. The girl was guilty. Grosnian law prescribes the death penalty for her crime. After all, what could you have done about it?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And yet...
And yet what?
I wonder if she was right. I wonder if artistry such as hers isn't of greater value to humanity than spying in any cause.
It's not much good worrying about that now, is it? The girl's dead and buried.
Watson.
What's the matter, Holmes?
Did you hear that?
I hear what?
I can swear that I heard the dead girl's voice. She was singing her song to my accompaniment.
Oh, dear. Your nerves must be in a very bad state, Holmes. Hearing voices indeed. You'd better turn in for the night.
Perhaps. Well, it may be more my conscience than my nerves.
I'll give you a sleeping draught if you like.
No, my dear Shepard. I'm all right. It's funny, though. I could have sworn that... Oh, well.
Play some more of that tune, will you, Holmes? Great heavens!
Uh-huh. You heard it this time, eh, Watson?
Of course I did. It was her voice. There's no mistaking it. Holmes, I don't believe in ghosts, and yet I could swear...
Listen.
Good Lord. It is her.
Avenge my death. Do not let them go and punish the kill me.
Who are you? Where are you?
In the air about you. Avenge my death.
Strike a match,
Sherlock
Watson.
Holmes.
Strike a match. Yes. Light the gas.
Look. There in the moonlight, moving past the window. It's the figure of that girl that was shot to death.
A match, Watson. I'll guard the door.
There. Gas is lighted, but she's vanished, Holmes.
And not by means of this door. We're standing in front of it. And there's no other exit from the room.
Holmes, I don't like this. We're dabbling in the supernatural.
Stop trembling, Watson. Whatever the explanation for this may be, one thing at least I find quite fascinating.
And what's that?
It's the first time in my career that I've ever had a ghost for a client.
Dr. Watson will tell us the rest of his story in just a second, so I'm just going to tell you about a wine that adds the perfect finishing touch to a good meal. Petri California Muscatel. With its sunshiny golden color and its full aroma, you just know Petri Muscatel is going to taste good. And it really does. The flavor of big, plump muscat grapes picked when they're full to bursting with luscious juice. For the wine that everybody likes, serve Petri Muscatel. You know it's good if it's Petri. Well, Dr. Watson, so you had a ghostly visitor calling on you at the hotel that night, huh?
Yes, my boy, and I confess I was so badly shaken by the experience that I hardly slept a wink all night. Well, the next morning, after an early breakfast, Holmes and I located the proprietor of our hotel and began to question him as to the history of the building.
I've admired the architecture of this building ever since we came here. A house of this period would undoubtedly have been built with secret passages and staircases.
I confess that I know of one secret staircase there. There may well be others.
Indeed, and where's the one you know of?
You wish to explore it, gentlemen?
Oh, very much. My friend and I are most interested in such things.
Follow me, please. These stairs lead to our wine cellars. Thousands of feet have tramped up and down these steps. Only a select few know that behind this tapestry here... behind this tapestry, gentlemen, is apparently a solid wall. But the wall is not solid. You have a match, perhaps.
Oh, yes, of course. Here you are.
We keep a candle here in this niche for just such an occasion as this. So, please hold back tapestry, sir.
Oh, I've got it.
Thank you. Now, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth brick up from the stair. I press it so, and...
Look, Holmes. Great Scott, a section of the wall swinging up.
Disclosing a stairway behind it. Ingenious.
There, gentlemen. Allow me to give you the candle.
But aren't you going to lead the way?
No, sir. I'm not going to lead the way, thank you. I have owned this hotel for 32 years, and yet I have never explored this stairway.
Why, sir? Is it reputed to be haunted?
Yes, it is supposed to be haunted. The candle, gentlemen.
Thank you. Yes, I'm much obliged to you. Come on, Watson.
I shall wait here.
I don't think I care for this, Holmes. Frightfully dark in here. It's damp and moldy, too.
Look, Watson. Look here.
Where?
This landing.
Landing? Well, nothing but dust and cobwebs.
Closer, old chap. There's the faint imprint of a woman's heel here.
Huh. Oh, by George, yes. Shoes that have gone both up and down these stairs in the last 24 hours.
Exactly. And there's a reverse print over here. This, my dear chap, I think accounts for the appearance and disappearance of our visitor last night.
Yes, but Holmes, it was the singer, Lily Rayner. Yet we saw her shot yesterday morning.
Rubbish, Watson, rubbish. What have we to do with walking corpses? Come on, old fellow. Let's see where this stairway leads us to.
I know, but then what did we see if we didn't see a ghost last night?
That, my dear chap, is what we have to find out. Wait a minute. Staircase ends here. That's strange.
Yes, and against a blank wall. That doesn't make sense.
And yet the entrance to this stairway was an apparent blank wall, too, remember? Let's see if the same formula will do the same trick here.
What was it? Oh, it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
4 bricks up from the step. I press so and... Open sesame.
The wall swinging back again.
What do we see? Another tapestry. A tapestry that seems very familiar.
Well, I should say so. This hidden door leads into your very own bedroom.
Exactly, my dear chap. Now we know beyond doubt how the apparent ghost made her appearance last night.
Don't you suppose it must have been someone impersonating the dead girl?
That, my dear fellow, is a question that can only be answered by calling on her fiancé, Prince Stefano. Let's go over and see him at once, shall we? Prince Stefano, I dislike to intrude upon your personal tragedy, but I must ask you a few questions.
Ask your questions.
Did your fiancée have a sister who may have resembled her?
No. She had no living relatives at all, Mr. Holmes.
Oh, tell me this. Who inherits her estate, sir?
Her dresser. A faithful old woman by the name of Martha Gregor, who looked after her for some years.
I see. Did Miss Rayner have an understudy?
As a singer, she could have no understudy. She was irreplaceable.
You say as a singer. Was she also an actress?
Oh, but yes, Mr. Holmes.
Oh, really? How very unusual for an opera singer.
Quiet, Watson, please.
The first time I saw her was in Tosca. She was not another Bernard, but her performance was very promising one, considering her age. In my country, of course, she was not able to appear in anything but opera because she could not speak Russian.
She didn't speak Russian? Now I have the answer.
The answer?
Yes, to what?
To this entire story, from the arrest of your fiancée to certain strange visitations at my hotel last night.
What do you mean, Mr. Holmes?
If you come to my hotel room tonight, my dear Prince, I can safely promise to make the whole matter clear to you. And I dare go a little further. I think that I can even help you to find consolation in your bereavement. Ladies and gentlemen, I can see that you wonder why Dr. Watson and I have asked you to come here to our hotel tonight.
As Minister of Police, I should be stupid if I did not realize that since your other two guests are the Prince Stefano and Martha Gregor, the dead girl's dresser, that this meeting has some bearing on the execution of Miss Lily Rayner.
I should prefer to say her murder.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you please, I should like to make my own position in this matter quite clear. 2 nights ago, you, Martha, came to me on behalf of Miss Lily Rayner to solicit my aid. I, convinced that she was guilty, refused that aid. Yesterday morning, she died before a firing squad. Last night, her ghost appeared to me here in this room and asked me to avenge her death.
Her ghost? What nonsense are you talking?
It would be no surprise to me if her poor murdered soul came back from the grave to ask for justice, sir.
I saw her, my good woman. Almost as clearly as I see you all now.
I agree with Krasnodar. To talk of ghosts is beyond belief.
Please let me finish. When I had this visitation last night, I decided to investigate the case thoroughly. I did so today, and I can assure you that Miss Rayner paid for a crime she did not commit.
What grounds do you have for saying that, Mr. Holmes?
The letters that were supposedly written to her were in the Grosnian language, and yet today Prince Stefano informed me that she could not appear in the theater here because she did not speak the language.
But those letters were sewed into her bodice, Holmes.
That's true, my dear fellow. And who was the only person who had the opportunity to do that? The same person who came to me 2 nights ago and succeeded in convincing me that Miss Rayner was guilty, her own dresser and supposed friend.
Are you suggesting that
I'm suggesting that you inherited her estate on her death, and that you would have lost that inheritance if she had married and had a family of her own.
What do you have to say in answer to that, Martha?
That I am among madmen. This talk of ghosts proves it.
Very well, then. Let the ghosts support my theories. Hand me the violin, will you, Watson, old fellow?
Oh, yes, of course.
Thank you. And now, turn down the gas light.
Right, sure.
That's it. And listen.
Yes. Yes. That's her voice.
And that's her figure standing there in the moonlight, even though she's dead.
Now, what do you say, Martha? Aren't you responsible for her death? If a ghost can sing, I'm sure it can also talk.
I did do it. The letters belong to me. I sacrificed my own baby for gold. May heaven have mercy on my soul.
A confession in front of 4 witnesses. Why not take her away, Krasnodar? We'll testify later.
I will. Come with me, Martha.
I killed my own baby. I deserve to die.
Well, shall I turn up the gas, Holmes?
Ask Prince Stefano.
No. Do not turn it up. I've seen and heard the ghost of my beloved when the lights were down. I'm not afraid. Please play her melody again, Mr. Holmes.
Aren't you afraid, Prince Stefano?
Why should I be afraid? Lily, my beloved, your spirit I know can be no evil one. I love it as I loved you living. The pleasure of love lasts but an instant. Love's regrets last for a lifetime. This is now my lifetime, brightened by your gracious ghost.
I'm sure this is a very touching scene, but it's getting dreadfully maudlin. All right, Miss Rayner. You may come from behind the tapestry now. Watson, old chap, turn up the gaslight. There's a good fellow.
Right you are, Holmes.
Prince Stefano, permit me to reintroduce you to your far-from-ghostly fiancée, Miss Lily Rayner.
Lily, my beloved, you're not dead.
No, I am not dead. Though I cannot see how Sherlock Holmes fathomed my secret.
And there, my dear young lady, you're in exactly the same boat as I am.
Surely the answer is obvious. You gave me the key yourself, Prince Stefano.
I did, but how, Mr. Holmes?
When you informed me that Miss Rayner had once played the title role in Tosca.
Tosca? What's that got to do with anything,
Consider
Holmes?
the plot, Watson. A minister of police who is very susceptible to a lady's charms arranges a false execution. Knowing Mr. Krasnodar's weakness, Miss Rayner, you prevailed upon him to do likewise.
Well, then the whole execution was a piece of pantomime. The rifles must have contained blanks.
That's right, old fellow. And what should have heightened my suspicion, Miss Rayner, was the fact that at the moment of your apparent death, Mr. Krasnodar quoted a line from Tosca. He said, "What an artist." I was not perceptive enough at the time to evaluate the remark correctly, I'm afraid. When the simulated execution took place, you were free, but assumed dead.
But why should I indulge in such a trick, Mr. Holmes?
You reasoned that had you come to me directly, I might easily have turned you over as a fugitive from justice. And when you decided to dramatize the situation and appear last night as an apparent ghost, you knew it would, well, at the very least, stimulate my curiosity. It would cause me to investigate the matter and possibly to learn the truth and clear you from suspicion.
Well, yes, but Holmes, if she's innocent, how about the love letter in English, which was in the handwriting of Josip, the revolutionary leader?
Well, I can see only one explanation for that. You, Prince Stefano, are that mysterious revolutionary Josip.
Stefano? Oh, no, that is not possible.
Mr. Holmes, you're a visitor in my country. I do not suppose you will be staying here much longer.
Stefano, all these months you have deceived me.
Silence, Lily. Gentlemen, I hope for your own sake you will not be staying here much longer.
Oh. I've been threatened by far more imposing adversaries than you, Prince Stefano. I suggest that you leave my room. It's none of my business dabbling in Groznian political affairs. Your secret is safe. In any case, I came to Grozny for a holiday. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Mr. Holmes.
On my soul, Holmes, if we were in London, you wouldn't behave in this offhand way.
But we're in Grozny, old chap, aren't we? Hand me the violin, will you?
All right, here you are.
Thanks. You know, Watson, I've only had professional dealings with 2 singers in my life. The first was Irene Adler, and she fooled me, oh, so cleverly.
And this singer tried to fool you and failed dismally. Seems to me the score's about even.
No, old chap, no. This one was an amateur. Irene Adler will always be the woman. Well, I think that's enough excitement for one day, don't you? After all, I am supposed to be taking a holiday.
Doctor, that was a swell story. And I'll bet that you were a lot more interested in the beautiful Lily than your story tonight would have us believe.
Oh, of course I'm interested in a beautiful woman. But then what man isn't?
Check.
But don't worry about me, Mr. Bartell. You know, being a family man, I just naturally associate a beautiful woman and home. And that makes me think of hospitality.
Well, what do you mean by that?
Well, according to you, I'm interested in home life. You're primarily interested in wine. Put us together, and we're interested in...
Wine in the home.
Isn't that an important part of hospitality?
That I admit. But remember, my interest in wine is entirely an interest in good wine. In Petri wine, to be exact. Because I know all about Petri wine. I know that the Petri family has been making wine for generations. With the Petri family, the growing of perfect sun-ripened grapes and the art of turning those grapes into fragrant, delicious wine is a heritage. It's a heritage handed down from father to son, from father to son. The skills of those generations of winemaking are evident in every drop of Petri wine. The name Petri on a bottle of wine is more than a trademark. It's the personal assurance of the Petri family that Petri wine is always good wine. But you'll discover that for yourself. You'll learn that no matter what type wine you prefer, you like it better when it's a Petri wine. Because Petri took time to bring you good wine. Well, Dr. Watson, what new Sherlock Holmes adventure do you have lined up for us next week?
Next week, Mr. Bartell, I'm going to tell you a most unusual story in which Sherlock Holmes crossed swords with a famous Frenchman and proved that although the English have been called a nation of shopkeepers, that a murder did not always prove to be a good bargain.
Tonight's Sherlock Holmes adventure was written by Dennis Green and Anthony Boucher and was suggested by an incident in the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle story, The Sussex Vampire. Music is by Dean Fossler. Mr. Rathbone appears through the courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, and tonight Dr. Watson was played by Mr. Joe Kearns, who substituted for Mr. Nigel Bruce. Mr. Bruce is scheduled to return to the program next week. The Petri Wine Company of San Francisco, California, invites you to tune in again next week, same time, same station. Sherlock Holmes comes to you from our Hollywood studios. This is Harry Bartell saying goodnight for the Petri family. For a solid hour of exciting mystery dramas, listen every Monday on most of these same stations at 8 o'clock to Michael Shayne, followed immediately by Sherlock Holmes. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Welcome back. Well, once again, we're treated to the great versatility of Joseph Kearns. We've already heard Kearns in a number of roles. If you remember the first episode of Let George Do It, the pilot, he was the janitor. Then he played the role of Casper Gutman in The Candy Tooth Caper. And now we hear him doing a very good Dr. Watson. So an incredible range of flexibility. A very long career in radio. On television, he was best remembered for playing Mr. Wilson in the old TV show Dennis the Menace. And really, his voice, at first I would almost, it sounded quite a bit like Nigel Bruce's. The difference became more pronounced as the show went on. You realize, oh yeah, definitely there's a substitute, but incredible voice work. And he's one of those actors that you can't exactly tell that it's him just first time you hear him. This episode had some spooky moments in it, and I was wondering if they were going to go with an actual ghost story. But thankfully, we got back into the normal realm of Holmes in an overall very intriguing plot. Kept me guessing pretty much right to the end. I love that episode. Well, I do have one update. Chris, who has emailed us before and voted for us on Podcast Alley, said he tried to register at Podcast Alley and wasn't even able to. So we're not, and people have not been able to cast their votes if they're not already registered. So we're not pushing Podcast Alley as something for people to vote on the show just because for some reason it's not going through. But I appreciate everybody's support. Before we get started today, I do want to, for a moment, just say a brief word about Compassion International. One theme that's true throughout the entire, every year at Christmas time, is how can you make the spirit of Christmas last all year long? Well, one gift you can give is by becoming a sponsor through Compassion International. Compassion is a great program that helps kids with their material and educational needs so that they can get a future and an escape from poverty. The need, particularly in these hard economic times, continues to grow. When I became a Compassion sponsor 2 years ago, there were around 300 children who'd been waiting 6 months or more for a sponsor, and only one who was 15 or over. Now there are more than 800 kids waiting, and more than a dozen 15 or over who are going to have a hard time. So think about it. Compassion International, you'll be able to build a relationship, contacts with your child, and you can learn more at compassion.com. Well, let's get into today's episode of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, The Yankee Pride Matter.
From Hollywood, it's time now for Edmund O'Brien as
Johnny Dollar.
This is Carl Bush, Johnny.
Yeah, Carl, what's new?
We've currently got a marine insurance headache down here. I don't know if you're interested, but your commission would be fat. I called you because I had a feeling you know Singapore. Is that right?
Yeah, I've been there on a case, and it'll have to be a fat commission to get me back there.
The policy is for $300,000. It covers a cargo that's being delayed out there, a time clause.
What reason do you have so far?
Mechanical trouble on the ship. One breakdown after another.
Accidental, sabotage, or both?
That's what we want to learn. Come on down after lunch and talk it over.
Edmund O'Brien in another adventure of the man with the action-packed expense account. America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Tri-State Insurance Company, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of the Yankee Pride matter. Expense account item 1, $1.50 cab fare to your office.
Maritime insurance is a bad gamble at best, Dollar.
Looks like we're on the short end of this one.
That I know about. I bet on Notre Dame last Saturday.
You aren't alone. This is a cargo of tin bound for a West Coast plant that's under government contract. Armament. Bearings, I think.
Oh. Well, that's where that time clause you mentioned fits, huh?
Right. They got a deadline, so they insured themselves. The way it stands, if that ship doesn't leave Singapore in a week, we start losing 2% a day on 300,000.
You have an office in Singapore?
Yes, but we haven't gotten any satisfaction from them. I don't know. That far away, you're out of touch.
What's your man's name?
Here, name's Ells. Vincent Ells. Here's the address.
Well, I guess I can get the rest of the dope from him. I'll get out of here as soon as I can get space.
Good. It's nice seeing you, Johnny. Let me know when your plane leaves. I'll send you a bouquet of bourbon or something.
Expense account item 2, $1,280 airfare and incidental expenses between Hartford and Singapore. In the perverse way of shipping airlines, we arrived with one of Malaya's heavy, muggy dawns, coasting in over haze-hidden native villages, the island-studded harbor, and finally settling on the big field. I finished customs by 9, napped in my room at the Hotel Europe till 10, and I was in Tri-State's office by 1 p.m.
I'm happy to meet you, Mr. Dollar. Sit down. I trust you had a pleasant trip out?
Well, it's a little too long to be pleasant, Mr. Ells, but those airline people do everything they can.
Yes. You've been in the East before?
A few times. Now,
then you know that the unexpected is more or less commonplace here.
Say, what are you driving at?
It's possible that you've come on an extremely dangerous mission, sir.
Oh?
On the other hand, perhaps it's only coincidence. One of my adjusters has been killed.
He was working on this case?
Yes, I'm afraid he was.
What have you done about it?
I turned the matter over to the police.
Did you mention the situation, the delayed cargo?
I did, but I rather think that they categorized him as an individual rather than as an insurance adjuster.
Who was he?
A young Chinese, Kufo Sun, an intelligent chap. I discussed the matter with him the morning previous to his death. That was 2 days ago. And he told me he was going to visit the ship in question, the Yankee Pride. The men on board said he never arrived.
You don't think his death was a coincidence, do you?
Instinctively, no, but it's true that death isn't rare in some quarters here.
So I've heard. Hey, did this boy of yours leave a family? Anyone I can talk to?
His parents were killed in the last unpleasantness, but there's a brother. They shared quarters.
I'd like to have the address.
Of course. It's in 10 Cullen Street. Here you are. I won't bother directing you. Any rickshaw fellow will know where it is. But I believe he's employed by a Dutch concern. Wouldn't be at home till evening.
That'll work out. I want to go talk to the chief engineer of that ship first anyway.
Yes, I suppose you'll have to go. I only beg of you to proceed with great caution. The ship is down at the east dock.
I'm in the sack. Come in.
Sorry to bother you, Chief. What's the matter with you?
Blasted fever. Seems like this climate brings it back.
Malaria?
Yeah. What do you want aboard?
My name's Dollar. I was sent out here by the company that's insuring your cargo.
What about it?
Well, they're going to start losing money if this ship doesn't get started home in a few days.
Well, there's nothing they can do and nothing I can do. I have a bearing flown to me from Hong Kong. When that gets here, I can pump water into the boilers, and not before.
What do you think about all this mechanical trouble you've been having?
What do you mean?
Well, has it all been legitimate, or could it have been sabotage?
Sabotage? Now, who'd do that?
I don't know.
Well, it hasn't been sabotage. Bearings go and generators foul up without any help. Ask me, I've been nursing them for 15 years.
When do you expect the stuff from Hong Kong?
It's hard to say. People don't work the same out here as they do in the States.
I'll fly up there myself after your bearing if it'll get you out of here on time.
Look, mister, I'm not in any shape to figure out anything now. I'm sick. I'll try and talk to the captain about it. Come back tomorrow. Will you?
Uh-huh. Sure, Chief. I know. That fever's rough. After dinner that night, I rickshawed towards the address of the dead Chinese adjuster. I crossed over the Singapore River, which winds through the city to separate the native and European quarters, and entered Bencoolen Street. It was jammed with its people outside to take advantage of the breath of coolness that comes with night.
Well, here's one.
Good. Which door?
I point.
Good.
You go some other big point. I wait.
All right, you wait. Are you Mr. Koo?
Who asked?
I'm an American. I want to talk to you about your brother.
I will not talk. Why do you come here?
Well, I'm working for the company where your brother works. I came all the way from America. Why won't you talk to me?
You speak the truth?
Yes, I have no reason to lie.
You come then. You heard in America about my brother?
No, but I'm here in Singapore to do the same job he was doing when he was killed. I wondered if there was some connection.
Connection?
Was he killed because of what he was doing or for some other reason?
I do not know. I did not know what he was doing.
Are you telling the truth?
Yes.
What are you afraid of? Why did you tell me you wouldn't talk about your brother?
I do not want to die.
Why would you die? Did someone tell you that you would if you talked about it?
Yes. I cannot tell anything because I know nothing. That he will not believe.
Who? Come on, you can trust me. I promise you I won't mention a word of it.
He who came here before the police. I told him that my brother and I speak of other things, not work. But he made promise that I die if I speak to police.
Who was this man? Did you know him?
No, I have never seen him.
Was he Oriental or Occidental?
English. He would do low work, I think. The work of frightening people for some other.
Yeah. And you're sure your brother didn't say anything about his work the night or day before he was killed, huh? Anything about a ship named the Yankee Pride?
Nothing. I have spent many hours remembering his last words to me. He spoke only of one new thing. A woman. With Forsoon, there was always new woman. With this one, he was filled with pride and excitement. She was Malayan. Perhaps she brought him death.
The man that threatened you, did he ask you about her?
He asked me everything that had been talked of, but I was frightened and did not mention her.
Do you know her name or where I can find her?
You will keep the secret?
Oh, I'll lie about when I got here. I'll tell her I talked to your brother that night before he died.
Her name is Randi. There's a place of an Arab in Malabar Street. It is called Billy Parker. That is where he spoke of finding her.
All right. I'll see if I can.
Please. Forsoon's death is a very heavy sorrow. But my death is in the future. Do not come back. To speak further of this would be to waste the future.
I won't come back, Mr. Koo. Thanks for the help you've given me.
Goodbye.
Hey, wait one. You go other place now.
Yeah, I go other place. Malabar Street. Billy Parker. You know that?
I know, all right. Come on.
I didn't bother to go back. The crowd surging around the door I'd come out was enough to tell me what had happened. The future that Mr. Koo had been so anxious to protect had just ceased to exist.
In just a moment, we'll return to the second act of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Edmund O'Brien. But first, are you ready to sing it again tonight? You'll find a whole hour full of the day's popular music sung by Eugenie Baird, Alan Dale, Bob Howard, and the Riddlers. You'll hear the tuneful riddle songs that lead to Sing It Again's Phantom Voice Treasure Trove. $5,000 in cash and $10,000 more in wonder prizes. Be listening again to Sing It Again tonight when it comes your way on most of these same CBS stations. The Phantom's a puzzler, but some CBS listener will win that $5,000 in cash. And now with our star, Edmund O'Brien, we return you to the second act of yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Telephones are still at a premium in the native quarters of Singapore. I wanted to report what had happened to Vincent Els and tell him where I was going and why. So I tried to find one, but couldn't. The joint called the Beeley Parker was a mixture of nationalities, languages, and tobacco smoke. I spotted two Occidentals as I went in. They ignored me, so I ignored them and elbowed a place at the bar.
Hello, boss. What you drink?
Any scotch?
Oh, yes, sir. That's good scotch.
I'll take one. Don't mix it. Hey, I'm looking for a girl named Rondi. She here tonight?
Rondi? You go table. She serve you, boss. You pay her.
Right.
Rondi! Rondi! Come quick.
Hi, I'm Randy. I brought a drink for me. Is all right?
I'm glad you did. Sit down.
Why did you ask for me?
Well, a friend told me about you.
You sound American, are you?
That's right.
I know some Americans.
Did one teach you to speak English? You speak very well.
No, they do not teach me that. I learned from missionary school in Penang. You are surprised?
I didn't know it showed.
Everybody is surprised that Randy went to school. Some American friend told you about me?
No, he was Chinese. His name was Kufo Soon.
Kufo Soon? He is no friend of mine. He's poor clerk. He told you about me?
A couple of afternoons ago. Said he was coming here to meet you.
He wanted to meet me, all right, but I did not want to meet him. He made fool of himself.
That would be easy.
What did he say about me?
Oh, that you were beautiful, and that he was looking forward to seeing you.
He said that because he was lonely. I know about men. That's why you think of me tonight? Because you are lonely?
As a matter of fact, I am.
What is your name?
Dollar, Johnny Dollar.
You tease me.
Well, I'll admit it has a ring to it.
No. I tease you. I know the name. In Penang, my father worked for a steamship line with that name. Are you in shipping business?
No relation. Shall we get rid of the scotch?
How do you say? Bottoms up. I think I like those things better now.
What do you mean?
Because he told you about me. I get tired of these people. I like to talk to you.
Randy, you come work.
Oh, work. Will you wait for me?
Wait for you?
Only a little while, then I stop work. You come to my house. We can talk some more. Please, you wait.
Rondi, are you lying to me, or don't you really know that Kufu Soon is dead?
He is dead? I only knew him that one time. Not as well as I know you. How should I find out? Why should I lie to you?
Because the chances are that you're the last person to see him before he was killed.
How do you know that?
Because he was on his way to meet you, and he never came back.
There are many places to go in Singapore.
Yeah, but it all keeps returning to you or that place. Fusoon's brother was shot right after he told me about you.
I did not know he had brother. Honest, I do not want to talk to you like this.
I gave the name of the place to my rickshaw boy. Somebody overheard it. And the shooting took place right after we left. Why would somebody want to keep me away from you?
Nobody wants to keep you away from me. You are frightened?
That's past. If they wanted to kill me, they would have by now. Why did you bring me here?
I thought you understood. You are in trouble. Why don't you tell me? To listen to you, I would help you.
Forget it.
That would be better. I will help you forget, too. I'll make a drink. Pie. You like pie?
Sure, anything.
Do not think about your dead friends, John. You cannot help them now. You think of me.
What else?
Easy now. Easy. Sorry to interrupt. Hey, keep your pistol on him, Roy. Right. Well, I'll find out if he's got one.
He's not on.
Ah, well, you should know, dearie. Well, now, ain't you going to get up?
I don't see why I should.
Because we're going for a little drive, that's why you should. Are you coming like a gentleman or otherwise?
Roy, yeah? Oh!
Dollar. What do you make of this? You go to sleep in a river shack, you're not careful now, stay on your feet, and you wake up on the threshold of a blasted mansion. Here, give me a hand, Roy, he can't hold his feet yet.
All right.
You know, you're an important man, Dollar, but don't get big-headed. There's them that's more important. Major, here we are.
I'm in the library. Come along.
Right you are. Go on, straight ahead.
What on earth have you done to him?
He was quite violent, sir.
Here, help him to the chair. I'd hoped this wouldn't happen, Mr. Dollar. Let me look at you.
Don't bother. You'll get a foot in the face if you get close enough. I promise you that.
Oh, I see. It's obvious that you fancy yourself a difficult man to deal with. But let me share a simple truth. You'll accomplish nothing here until I allow you to.
Those are strong words.
I have the power to support them. I know all about you, why you're here. My chief engineer will see that the Yankee pride does not move until I give the word.
And when will that be?
When I am ready to leave for Mexico.
You're crazy. That ship isn't going to Mexico.
Oh, yes it is, Mr. Dollar. Because I have paid well for passage there.
You don't buy ship's articles. The Yankee pride says she's going to San Francisco.
One can buy anything with sufficient funds. The simplest are the petty official signatures needed to make these changes. You'd be amazed at how easily eyes are blinded and ears deafened. You don't agree with me?
Up to a point.
I understand. You think that I brought you here for the purpose of bargaining with you? There's no need for that.
Why am I here?
Because I enjoy my power. And at the moment, I'm fighting you and your stumbling, idiotic method.
You're proud of your own? What kind of power did it take to bring off the murders of the Koo brothers? I'm not impressed.
You will be. I'm going to let you go on with your investigation because you're a harmless citizen. Thanks. How much money will your company lose by further delay?
2% of $300,000 for each day over schedule.
Well, please convey to them my thanks. And tell them I shall cover their loss. They won't attempt to prosecute. You may go. Earl and Roy would drive you wherever you wish them to.
I retreated to my hotel room. But I knew one thing about him and thought I knew something else. His name, as spotted on an envelope on the way out, seemed to be Major Ralph Dixon, and I had a strong feeling that his weakness was his strength and vice versa. The man was power mad. In spite of my exhaustion, frustration didn't let me sleep too well through the rest of the night.
Good morning. Mr. Ellis here.
This is Dollar.
Well, I'm glad you phoned. I worried about what might happen to you last night.
Well, don't think for a minute that it didn't happen. What do you know about a Major Ralph Dixon?
Ralph Dixon?
Yeah.
Why, nothing. Who is he?
Well, he boasts that he's the man behind our trouble. He's crazy, and I really mean that.
Oh?
He claims that he's bribed everybody concerned with the Yankee Pride sailing, including port officials.
Mr. Dollar, you sound serious.
I believe him. Look, you have better entree here than I have. Would you see that you can learn something about the ship's papers being changed to include a Mexican port?
Oh, there was no Mexican port, I know that.
Well, he says there is. And see what you can learn about his visas and passport. And you might even check customs. He's holding the sailing up for something.
I say, what are you going to be doing?
Well, I'll start at the other end. I know my way around the bottom. Hello, Randy.
I did not run away, did I? I knew you would come back here.
You aren't afraid of me, but you will be. Right now, you're afraid of the Major, and I don't blame you. 2 men were killed to keep you and the rest of us pawns afraid.
Yes, I'm afraid of him. Many people are.
You and 1 or 2 others are going to have to protect him by taking the blame for those 2 murders. You know that, don't you?
That there would be no trouble.
That was before I came to town. I say there is going to be trouble. Because I'm going to turn you in. And the Major is so powerful that nobody will believe you when you tell the truth. You'll pay for it all.
I believe that.
Well, don't you want to help yourself if you can?
Why? You know his power.
Not like you do, and I don't want to. I think he's crazy. And if I have to, I'll kill him.
What can I do?
Tell me what's behind it.
Gold. From an inland sultanate who is afraid of invasion. They send their gold out when they can. The Major is making the arrangements.
How much, do you know?
I've only heard almost 100 million.
American standard?
Yes, American. There's been delayed in its journey here. What can we do against power like that, Johnny?
If we can get high enough, we'll break him. The man I'm working with on this is checking every official the Major claims to have paid off.
How do you know that?
What do you mean by that?
You are speaking of Mr. Eyre?
That's right.
He is only a human being. He is as greedy as any of us. I do not think he's asking questions.
He's been bought too, huh?
Yes.
You, the captain, the engineer, officials, L.
You too, Johnny. If you were wise.
Did they tell you to say that?
It does not matter. Yes, they did. They told me to warn you.
I'm glad to hear that.
Why should you be glad?
Because it means he's afraid of me. What else were you supposed to tell me?
Only about Mr. Ells.
Yeah. Mr. Ells is as good a place to start as any. A check on the tri-state office told me that Ells had left for home, so I followed him there. It was a cottage set back from the street. No one answered my knock. Through the veranda window, I could see why. Vincent Ells was sprawled on the floor, a pistol just beyond his outstretched hand. On the way to Major Dixon's, I stopped at my hotel long enough to get an automatic out of my luggage.
Well, what do you... What's the meaning of this?
I just left Vincent Ells' house.
Oh, yes. I've been advised that the poor man took his own life. Perhaps you can profit from his act.
I think I can. What happened? Did he turn on you?
Let us say that he didn't appreciate his position with me. He miscalculated my strength. Naturally learned there was nothing left for him to live for. How have you fared?
I've done all right. I've finally realized that there's only one way to stop you.
Oh? And what is that?
To kill you. Have you thought of that?
See here, I'm a man of influence. You'd not be rewarded, you'd be prosecuted.
I think you're a man of influence only in your own mind. Your influence is due partially to money, but more to fear. Els turned on you and you killed him. The girl Rondi would if she weren't afraid.
But she is.
She wouldn't be if you were dead. I want you to come with me.
And where would we go?
Down to the police commissioner, where I want you to list every bribe and killing you've been involved in.
Ridiculous. I have an appointment at the club. You'll pardon me, I'm sure.
I know about the gold, Major.
Oh, you do you? What do you propose doing about it?
I'm going to stop it.
You?
Don't try to leave, Major. Major!
You stupid little fool.
I didn't kill him. As it turned out, I didn't have to. Police investigation of the shooting brought out all the truth. The gold was confiscated when it arrived, and after 3 days of questioning, I was released. Remarks? You may lose 2 days on the Yankee Pride schedule, but to balance that, you also lost Mr. Els, an agent you can do without. Expense account item 4, $300 miscellaneous. Expense account item 5, same as item 2. Expense account total, $2,686. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, stars Edmund O'Brien in the title role and is written by Gil Dowd with music conducted by Alexander Courage. Edmund O'Brien may soon be seen in the Paramount Pictures production Warpath. Featured in tonight's cast were Virginia Gregg, Bob Sweeney, Tudor Owen, Bill Johnstone, Wally Mayer, Jack Crucian, and Ben Wright. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, is produced and directed by Jaime Del Valle. This is Bob Stevenson inviting you to join us next week at this time when we'll again bring you Edmund O'Brien as...
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
There's Saturday night fun with the younger married set when Lucille Ball and her favorite husband come along later this evening on most of these same Columbia stations. Now stay tuned for Vaughn Monroe's Caravan, which follows immediately on most of these same CBS stations. This is CBS, where Hopalong Cassidy rides every Saturday night on the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Welcome back. Well, this is plot-wise Johnny Dollar at its best. That last scene when Johnny Dollar shot the Major was one of the most incredibly intense radio scenes I'd ever heard. Clearly, he was at a point where he just did not feel he had a choice because this guy was going to continue to commit crimes and threaten people and act on his power-mad nature. And this is where Johnny Dollar really shines. With Johnny Dollar as an insurance investigator, you really have a sense that on most cases it's more than the amount than getting the recovery done. That there's some deeper, higher sense that drives him as he does his work. And I heard this. This was the first Edmund O'Brien Johnny Dollar episode, and I was just blown away. This was, and really, I think Edmund O'Brien as Johnny Dollar is probably the toughest radio detective you'll find. And this is one of my absolute favorite performances so far. Got this comment here from Talia, who says, Adam, I love your podcast. Thank you so much. I've been listening to OTR, and in particular, Sherlock Holmes and Poirot stories on tape most of my life. That's how my parents would put my brother and me to sleep when we were young. It's a habit that we both carried to adulthood. I'm currently studying in Israel, and since tapes aren't common anymore, I was searching for something to put on my iPod to listen to while I fall asleep. Thanks for the really informative commentary and podcast. I used to be Sherlock Holmes Agatha Christie purist, but I've started listening to Let George Do It, The Shadow, and Thin Man. Anyway, could you find some of the old Agatha Christies? Well, thanks so much. And I actually went ahead and sent her a link to the old-time radio Poirot mysteries, which we'll play in about a year, a little more, after we do Candy Matson. Agatha Christie had other stories that were made for radio, some of which we'll do. For example, the murder of Roger Ackroyd was done by the Campbell Playhouse. And another Poirot story, the tragedy of Marsden Manor, was done on Murder Clinic. And these we'll both get to. There were some other stories that were not, that were Agatha Christie stories, were not really detective stories, at least not the way they made them to radio. For example, the Poirot novel, The ABC Murders, was actually adapted for radio without Poirot. And there were several of her short stories, Witness for the Prosecution, and Where There's a Will, that were adapted on Suspense. I do have a comment here from Dewey, who said, I just recently found your Great Detectives of Old Time Radio and Old Time Dragnet podcast on iTunes. Just finished listening to episode 28 and 4/7/2007, respectively. Thank you for making these available in one convenient location, and congratulations on getting sponsorship. My only complaint, and this is beginning to really grate on the old terms, listening to you and through intros and conclusions. I'm really hoping that maybe you've started actually writing down what you want to say, so listeners don't happen to listen to you stand there, oh yeah, and one more thing your way to the actual program. Well, that always worked for Columbo. Anyway, I would think sponsors would be more willing to come on board if it sounded more professional as well. Otherwise, I really do appreciate your effort in preserving these great radio shows of the past. Well, I hope over the course of 270 episodes, I've gotten a little bit better at this. But as a general rule, sponsorships more depend on the demographics than they do the professionalism of the presentation. There are shows laced with profanity that get podcast sponsorships. But thanks so much for contacting us. Alright, well, that'll wrap it up. We'll be back next week with another episode of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. For those of you who have the app or a premium site, we got a special treat for you. It's Edmund O'Brien as Robin Hood. You're going to love it. Send your comments to box13@greatdetectives.net. Follow us over on Twitter at Radio Detectives. But from Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham, signing off.